And on previous episodes, we've asked people to like record and send over the recording. I've given up on that. Yeah. The last one was such a mess. If you want, you can do an audio recording. If you're not that bothered and it's too complicated, I will just use the Discord recording because at this point...
Is it because I keep fucking it up every time I do it?
It wasn't just you last episode, to be fair.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think everybody except for Damneders actually had technical issues.
Just a tech whiz, what can I say?
But I remember last time I was so pleased with myself. I sent it with you and I was like, I've knocked it out of the park. And you went, actually, your audio died halfway through. And I was so angry, so annoyed.
It's okay. It's okay.
Welcome, everybody, to a new episode of All the Grumblers podcast. Today, we're doing a cool little episode where we're talking about the new DLC that got announced. It's going to be Greenskins, Khorne, and Ogre Kingdoms. And we have a special guest, the #1 Ogre Kingdoms fan. If the Ogre Kingdoms only have one fan, it is Okoi. And if they have absolutely none, that means he's dead. So welcome, Okoi, of 19 Doomstack fame, of memes, bullshit, and everything else. Round of applause.
Woo!
Thank you, boys. I think I really am the only Ogre fan. The amount of people when that got announced were like, ooh, Greenskins, that'll be cool. Some more greens, and then everyone just forgot Ogre Kingdoms completely.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much you can do for memes to save you, because people, you kind of forget, like, Greenskins used to be like the meme faction, right? They had like all the good lines, like, when I get there, I'm a stab. And schemes, I got schemes, but then like they got overtaken completely by Skaven because they're just easier to meme.
Yeah.
They're definitely one of the memeier factions.
Yeah.
Still, even now. But now they're not, they're just scary. They're dangerous.
But Ogres were like like a lot of memes, like the first month or so, a lot of like people really enjoy them. And it's like, you know, like, oh, there's Chungus, things like that. But
they did have that amazing video intro, didn't they, with the song?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah,
it's good.
They nailed the Kingdoms aesthetic when they knew they wanted them to be a comic relief faction. It's all over them, just farting and bad guys, and even the trailers with Scrag doing that ambush, and they cut to him hiding behind a tiny tree.
Yeah,
he's like behind a twig. Yeah,
it's a shame the gameplay didn't line up with how good the presentation was.
I used to imagine some writer going there like, what are they going to do for comedy? That, well, they're going to fart and they're going to eat. And somebody else is going, comedy gold! The writer Sumi is going up in flames.
The game not being as good as the promotional stuff, which is just Warhammer 3 in a nutshell at launch, I would say.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Yeah, 100%.
They managed to capture the theme of so many of the races so well, and then just completely face planted on actually changing those thematics into actual decent mechanics. On paper, things like ogre food make sense, but translating that into the actual game it's just a basically non-mechanic. And then the same with the camps. Like, the idea, it's an interesting idea. Plus, we've never had like cities you can create in Total War before. They just made them really bad for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why.
I think the definition of a camp inherently is something that you put down temporarily to move to another place.
Yeah,
and they're just statutory, and it just completely negates. Like, you just make them movable. They essentially function like clunkier Black Orcs that can go on land, and then they're great. They're actually great. You can move. You could literally play them as a migratory faction where you take lands and just leave and be like, hey, I'm gonna travel across the map and go to my friend's territory, set up all my camps. Or maybe you're losing a campaign, you just pick up and move. You know, like it would be such a unique faction.
Yeah.
But because your whole economy is based on your camps, but just making them non-movable just ruins it. I really hope they do that.
Let's make a bingo predictions sheet of what we think they're actually going to change, and then what we hope they're going to change.
Let's do that last, I think. I think first we should go into, the things we have to go through. Man, we really should have done the structure from the get-go, but it kind of, like, at least talk about the structure before.
Said, what are we doing? And you just went, well, DLC, it's fine, we'll do it. Don't worry about it.
I didn't say that, did I? No.
Basically.
Look, basically. No, look. So we're gonna go through what we want to have in the DLC, what we think could fit into the DLC, new mechanics that would be better, and obviously the tangents are going to be our gripes about the factions as well, and how to solve those with different things and what we think could be fun with them. And since we're already in Ogres, would you guys like to start with Ogre Kingdoms maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, moving camps is a good one. The mercenaries part of the Ogres also is like so bad. There's just random
mechanics are bad.
I mean, yeah.
So.
I'm just trying to pick one at a time. So I've got some sort of structure. I don't.
Okay, what would you change if you could change the Ogres?
I think honestly the number one thing that would make them would vastly improve their campaign would be the movable camps. Like I said, like there's a lot of little things that need changing, like the requirements of food, which I don't like for them, or the Skaven. It's really hampering. Like I don't like that there's no buildings you can build with the Skaven to give you food. So you're constantly playing this weird game of taking territory for the occasional building that lets you get food, and then rushing your economy to get food. And it's like this weird catch-up game where every time you create an army or take settlements, but it's sort of balanced. The Ogre one feels like really mid. Like there's a building they can build to give you food, but then it destroys your economy in that province, and then it's just this. I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird sort of. It's like having loyalty for certain factions with lords. I never liked.
I hate loyalty.
It just seems like why give a faction that, and then like the balance of the game is just all like in a huge funk in general. I think.
I think most of those things are like nonsense for like Skaven. Like the food for Skaven, for example, like it used to be absolute garbage, right? Like it used to be so bad a release. And people just sold that via completely ignoring it. And like, just having Skaven slaves at minus 15 leadership and shit like that. And you could kind of win, but Threat on Vortex, I remember, was like close to impossible, because when the dragons landed, even if you had like the Stormworm and stuff like that, it didn't work. Then they fixed it, and now it's like, it's there, but you don't really need to play around it at all, right?
Yeah, it's very easy to keep right in the middle.
Yeah. But like you're saying, like with the Ogres, it's just so mid because it doesn't. I don't know. When I play them,
from it.
Yeah, and it doesn't really come into play ever, because once you get going with food, like maybe at turn 20 or something, then you don't really care about it at all either.
Yeah, it's a non-issue at a certain
point.
point.
Yeah, it's like nonsense really is stacked up, like loyalty. It doesn't matter in Warhammer 3 at all more, but it's really in the same camp of like garbage mechanics, really.
Nice.
Yeah, I the mercenary system could really do with a rework as well. Like Danner said, like you're near a camp and you can get one unit of like bulls or something being nearby or something like that. Like they could definitely work on that. If it's going to be Golgfag, who do you think they're going to change his name, by the way?
No, it's just going to be a cringe for every corner creator when we say it.
Yeah. Because I'm not like that's just his name. Clearly, it's not like meant to be offensive or anything. There is some offensive stuff in Warhammer though, if you start pygmies and whatever. But I don't think his name is really that bad. I'm just wondering if they're gonna change it.
Probably not. I don't think they're gonna retcon stuff. They retcon other stuff. Like in World, they retcon now Neferata and Khalida. I heard. So they went from being cousins, and now they were like now they're sisters. I think.
Yeah.
It's just such a like weird retcon, but yeah, I don't think they would retcon the name, because that's just like.
I bet they are someone and that person forgot and just thought, I think they're sisters, I'll do.
Oh my god, they were roommates.
They were roommates. Yeah,
they just lived together for the entire life. They were just friends, that's all.
Yeah. I think a big ass manual rework with culture variants could be really, really good. Or even a build your own man-eaters system, like you.
That would be really cool.
Exploring the map or defeating certain factions or whatever, or just some way of acquiring, a little bit like Grom's Cauldron, and when you defeat certain things, you unlock certain things, recipes, whatever. Like build.
That's really cool. Yeah.
Grom's Cauldron is.
You have like. You heavily armored dual weapons, or like big shieldy guys if you need like a front line, or like a ranged variant, like whatever. You just build your own.
Shit, in my head, I went straight for the dress up. It's like, yeah, I can find like a pirate's hat.
Ooh, hat DLC. We're back to Pharaoh.
some suspenders.
Yeah, Grum's Cauldron is one of those mechanics that every time I'm thinking of a faction that needs a rework, I'm like, let's see if I can pull something from Grum's Cauldron, because it's so well designed and so fun, and it works perfectly for the ogres because like they've got the great maul, they make a big stew.
Except for when it bugs out constantly, it doesn't give you the recipe for defeating the thing that it says to. But
I'm going to say something though, but there's like one decent, maybe two decent recipes for Grum's Cauldron.
How dare you?
And the rest of them are kind of shit.
Regeneration and 2 defense is
you
great.
end up doing the same thing.
Regen is too good on goblins to turn down.
Regen,
It's
frenzy.
just too good. Yeah.
Exploding
What else
arrows.
can I take? Yeah, there's because you've got 5 types of ingredients, haven't you? You can pick 4. There's one line that's basically missile attacks, which you're like, why would I ever pick that? And then you've got one from the other 4, and there's like maybe there's like maybe 5 out of those that are decent. So you kind of pick the same general ones every time.
I feel like there's so much stuff like that in Warhammer 3 though, like just basic skill trees for lords and stuff or heroes. Like they'll eventually like a unique buff that you can pick between 3 and it locks you out of the other ones. And one of them's like, 25% more weapon strength, and then the other one's like some crappy thing you're never gonna want to pick, and it's so obvious, and you take that same one every time. It's like why same with the character traits. There's ones that are just better than the rest, and there's no reason to pick the other ones, but they never change it. Like raise the if you like a lot of them, the ones that suck, it's like 5% more charge bonus, whatever. Why don't they up that to like 50% more, 25% more, and like have these crazy fun modifiers and whatever? And you're like, oh, which ones do I take? There's so many different cool things. But it's like, most of them suck.
Yeah, now they mentioned it, like the witch hunters got new skills now in the rework, and one of them is okay. The other one is just something I will never pick, and the one in the middle is to give 20% better ambush chance, ambush stand chance, and it's just like so over the top better than the other ones. Like clear, it's always like that. Like you say,
I don't understand
or all of the options are garbage, so you just end up going, I'll pick one of them. It doesn't really matter.
I don't understand why the lockout, because it's not like you really ever have a shortage of skill points for most characters in Warhammer 3. Like when I'm getting to like level 40, I'm just like, fucking whatever, I don't care.
I mean, it's the hybrid lords that you want more skill points for usually, like Malekith, Archeon, Manfred, etc.
I think I'm sure someone has done it. I'm not sure who, but isn't it like a bunch of characters in game? Like once they get to the skill cap, they've got like 20 points remaining or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like you can vastly overdo it. So why lock stuff out? I've got a mod which unlocks it. Yeah. And even though they're pointless, I pick them up because they're there.
They need a skill dump. I think the ×2 added a skill dump that a lot of people use, and it increases like the character's HP pool by like 1% or something for each point you put in. Something like that. Maybe you can just give you the option to increase any of your character statistics by like a set amount. Like you can put everything into speed or everything into weapon strength or whatever.
Yes, bring back.
I mean, then I guess you could put literally all your skill points into just weapon strength or something ridiculous. But maybe if you cap it, I don't know. Just give more players more control. I think would be really fun.
Let Greases get back to 90 speed. That's all we ask.
I think it's always like
400 speed, please.
Yeah, I think it's always a slippery slope when one tries to bargain with CA, because if you're giving them like an easy way out for like a skill dump or something like that, they just won't make a good skill tree instead.
It's a monkey paw, isn't it? Really, asking CA for something.
Yeah, it always is.
We will take anything. Okay, you get the most lazy mechanic possible.
Leadership aura plus 5%.
Woo!
Yeah, I think every aspect of the game has poor balance. Like the defeat traits. Like I mean, obviously not all defeaters need to be winners, but some of them are so laughably bad. Like I burst out laughing in Kugath's campaign because you kill Gorst, who's this huge challenge, and then you get poison attacks for Kugath. It's the stupidest thing ever.
Yeah,
have you seen
poison attack is really good, but like damn, like for Kugath,
for
so
Kugath
useless.
though, it's ridiculous.
Have you seen Tamakans though?
Oh my god! Yeah,
So good.
My fat
Remind me.
boy gets farmed.
It's
on the daily.
basically the short victory. It's better than the short victory reward for most factions.
I mean,
What is it? Can you remind me?
For like several patches, Dark Elves for short victory got better, like more global recruitment slots. They don't even have global recruitments.
Today I've been looking at
the short objectives.
the victory conditions overhaul mod, and side tangent, obviously. The victory rewards for like every faction are so ass and so boring. I just don't understand why. Like, oh, you finished the short campaign. Now, if you want to do the long campaign, you will be going into that with 1 recruitment capacity for heroes.
Yep.
Or I could build 1 building.
Weirdly, all the demon factions seem to have a really good one, which is they get plus 30 winds of magic a turn, which effectively means they've always got maxed out winds of magic forever.
Oh gosh,
which seems weirdly powerful.
Found this that we dropped. It was apparently the thread we were trying to follow, the subject. So I'm just gonna pull us back to that as the moderator, the one that takes any responsibility for this train wreck.
Lame.
Which aspects is the most boring with the ogres right now? We can all agree that they're not in a good place. Which is the most important one to actually fix up then?
camps.
Because it's so intrinsic to their entire faction. It's their entire economy, isn't it?
It's such a simple fix as well. Like they can move, and then give them like a turn to a like go into movement stance, and then a turn to go into camp stance, so it's not so OP, and then that's it.
Have you tried the ogre hole, okay?
Yes, I did. I did a Nobbler only campaign with the Ogre Hole, and I just had all my camps following my load around.
Did you like it?
Spamming out Nobblers. Yeah, it's because everything comes into play. Like the only thing is it is quite OP when you have all of your camps together and you basically just have this absolute just giga stack wandering around. So it is a little OP. It needs like a cooldown timer where like none of your buildings are active. Like you don't get money out of them, you don't get the upkeep production, you don't get anything beneficial from the camp, but you get the army inside of it with the upkeep production or something like that. And then when you deploy it, you get it all back, and it takes like 2 turns to set up or something like that, and then 2 turns to pick up. So you can't just constantly move around and be safe. It's like you pick up, you move to a new location, you put them down, and that's your new location kind of thing. Because it stops it being really OP.
That's so smart. I never did that. I just had them follow a little bit. I was like, I mean, it's still boring as shit, is what I thought. But like, that's just a way better way to do it.
I don't know why they.
No,
sorry, go on.
I don't know why they didn't put a timer thing on it for that Ogre Hole mod, because it made them really OP. But I think CAF can nerf it a bit, and then that makes them very unique, I think, in terms of based on all other factions. The closest thing is like Black Arcs, I guess, but that's sort of separate. I know you can just have Black Arcs and not really deal with territory, but yeah.
I don't know why they didn't make ogres just a horde faction, but
because hordes are bad.
Yeah, but I mean, kind of a bit more like Chaos Warriors, sort of where you have like strongholds, and then then you have like a camp building, but you kind of maybe have like build food into it, so you get food from doing your mercenary missions, which are also terrible, and sort of bake it all together rather than have these mechanics which feel so separate from one another and also terrible.
I think they wanted to distance themselves because everybody hated the horde factions they kept doing in Warhammer 1 and 2 so much that when it came to Warhammer 3, they just reworked everything. Reworked all these old factions, reworked Warriors of Chaos, reworked Beastmen, fixed all these horde factions. I love what they did with Beastmen though. Like when they do it, they do it right, and they do it right. It is really good. Like I love, like Beastmen are so fun now, in my opinion. I love the Blood Grounds. It's a really interesting way of doing a campaign where you don't have to deal with all the campaign building, so it's a semi-horde faction, but it stops like that whack-a-mole of factions moving into the ruins you just made every turn, and it's just like. I think they were trying to stop them from feeling like a horde faction that no one wanted, but then they made it like 50-50 this crap. They just tacked on this camp system, and then we're like, that's fine. And it just, none of the mechanics worked well together.
They kind of feel like a faction that should be a bit migratory.
Yeah, they're literally how they're supposed to be. They're like, they can own lands, but they wander around looking for food and contracts, and fighting and whatever. Like it would make them really unique. Just make the camps movable. They're already 10 times better. It's like ridiculous.
I think it was you, Masters, who mentioned this one, but like the mercenary contracts should really be that you're sent somewhere, and then once the contract is over, you should just not be at war and don't have any diplomatic malices with anyone either. And you can also sell off the cities as well. Like Lubu kind of has his.
Was it Troy?
Lubu has his.
3 Kingdoms, that's it.
The bandits in 3K, perfect example. I was going to say that
bandits got really fun. Didn't bandits? That's a mercenary one that everybody has now. I think bandits are just like a normal one, but they unlock everything by the tech tree instead.
It used to be that the bandits were the only ones that could get mercenary contracts, or it was in 3K when I like it. But it's really like basically like I'm sure you all know about it, but you get given like a 20-turn period where you just attack a faction on the contract from another person, and then you get a shit ton of benefits from that. Like that should be how their contracts work, because they can pull all the code from 3K, I assume. They didn't sell or whatever they did.
Okay, if you say so.
Yeah. Oh fuck! What's this now? I don't know what this is. Jab it in.
I think the thing that's
maybe
the most frustrating with the Ogres is like they're like their mechanics in theory are okay, but the execution is just so poor. Like camps in theory okay, poor. Fix them by letting them move. The big names, as they are, kind of suck. Fix them by letting you have as many as you want, because that's how Ogres work. It's just so many systems are so easy to fix. I know it just popped into my head while I was speaking.
That's such a good one, because he literally, all of Greasus' names, Greasus as well. Can we talk about how much of a fat piece of shit he is and how much of a massive rework he needs? Because
so bad.
Shit, he's the ogre tyrant, and he's just a useless, disabled, fat shit in a wheelchair. Just terrible animations, can't turn, just awful in every case.
Hey, but he can fart.
I think from like before they fixed him with the grease lightning, then he was the most bugged lord in the entire game. He had like several different issues where he couldn't like find who he was hitting. He couldn't reach them to hit them. He couldn't, like, his hitbox was all wonky. His reaches were like really weird. He had like several bugs just messing with him.
I think they've done very little tweaks to him over time to try and sort of, make them not complete irredeemable garbage. Yeah. But he just, like, they're never going to make him walk, I guess. I don't know why he doesn't have a foot model. He's literally too fat to walk, I guess, is the thing. But
so how
Noblar Pelican would be good. And then make him if he's going to be immovable, he needs some kind of mechanic for missile resistance, better animations, and then huge AoE buffs and debuffs, like leadership buffs for his guys, leadership debuffs for enemies around him, or something. Just something for him, It
is very strange, because, like, in essence, Thorgrim, is a much slimmer, shorter form of the same thing, like a dude that sits on a chair, but has hitboxes that work okay, has animation that work okay, and has plenty of decent buffs. So it's just like, just do that, but fat and tall.
Yeah.
I used to have this theory that whenever CA was going to rework something, they would just not touch it for a very long time. They would just like do absolutely the bare minimum with them constantly, just because they were going to get something later on, which is kind of works in theory, except for like vampire counts and Norska.
Can I just, like, why the fuck are the Greenskins? They're fine. Give them my vampire count, something, come on.
We love the Greenskins, that's why.
Yeah, they're gonna sell.
But vampire counts, they're so cool. Apart from Undead sucking complete ass, but
it is weird that they're going back to Greenskins. Greenskins are literally my top 3 factions. I love Greenskins. I love their campaign mechanics. I love their OP wogs. I love everything about them. They're great.
They're tons of fun and strong.
They don't need another DLC at all. I'll still play it. I'll still enjoy it, but they don't need one at all.
I think I would say the Greenskins are probably one of the... They're a faction where I recently played a campaign, and it feels so basic, but they don't... It's like you have a money building. You build the money building, you get money. The money building's cheap. It's quick to build. You can build it everywhere. Perfect. They have a really good economy. Their units are dirt cheap. They're effective. You can get 1 million of them. They're just a nice, easy, really effective faction to play.
I'm getting flashbacks for that tier list where we were getting shit on or because I was like, well, I was the only one who mentioned anything about Greenskins as well, and you just like put them into like I don't know, D or something like that. People were like, what the hell is happening? Because yeah, well, that was just a complete disaster.
That was an accursed episode. We don't talk about that one.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna address it now. I apologize for that. We completely lost track, and
I don't
stand by my L's.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it was their fault.
Anyone doesn't like it, they can come and fight me. I don't care.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I had a stream of like people just came in. It was like, "What do you think this? What do you?" I was like, "Wow, man."
In fairness, I think you could split basically if you took out the orcs and the goblins. The goblins are great. You get squigs, you get night goblins, you get fanatics. Mwah. Orcs, you get boys, you get boar boys who are fucking dog shit. I mean, it's kind of like the goblins are great. The orcs are kind of there. Black orcs are alright.
Grimgor's really strong, but it's very one-dimensional. Yeah, I don't think because I think that's the curse of all Warhammer 1 lords, though, is they weren't a DLC at any point. They're just, I think every standard lord in the game is just sort of a kind of lukewarm compared to the DLC factions who have these very unique things. Like Grom's Cauldron is always harkened back as this such a fun, like this really good mechanic. Any factions that had extra time given to them and like a second rework are better than the base game factions. Like the Empire are really good now. The Dwarves are really good now because they've had a rework. The Greenskins are really good since their rework. Beastmen are really good since their rework. But then you have like Grimgor, who's he gets the WOG, but he has there's nothing unique about his campaign specifically. Like Grom has the Cauldron. Azag and Grimgor have kind of nothing. They just have campaign buffs.
I think that's like one of the biggest things with the last DLC that people don't really know, because I remember the last partner program. Now everything is like off the NDNA, I guess, or something. But I remember I asked. Well, everybody's quit there anyway. But I don't know. This is getting weird. Anyway, I asked them anyway once, like, hey, why doesn't Tyrion get like something unique? Or why doesn't like Teclis have like a unique thing? And they told me that they wanted to have like these base generic lords that came with the game to be just really basic. So if somebody would jump into high elf campaign, it would just be like high elves. It wouldn't be like any faction mechanic. It wouldn't be like anything like above that. Yeah, so it's easy to get into and things like that. But the last DLC changed that. So now Carl has something unique. Gelt has something unique. And that's like really big, because then we might actually see something for like Grimgor and things like that. But speaking of Grimgor, what units do you guys think would be added to the Ogre Kingdoms?
Speaking of Grimgor,
to kill the Greenskins with, like to kill Grimgor with?
No, I'm just this was just like as smooth of a segue as you're gonna guess to get back to get back into what we're talking about.
That was the perfect tee up for what new Greenskins you see there come, and then you change gears to Ogre Kingdom side. I was so confused. They have a lot of good ones though. Really, really, really very obvious roster, I would say. If it's going to be if we're going by the amount of stuff that each DLC has gotten previously now, Shadows of Change after the free unit drop, and now Thrones of Decay, the massive amount of content for that, like it's pretty obvious. I think it's like they already found the files for Goldfag. It's probably going to be him. Maneater rework, I think, but maybe they'll just get like a dual weapon variant or something. You linked this thing of like weapon of characters and stuff, like Bragg the Gutsman, legendary hero.
No. This is you having been read up before. It's the same as us.
I mean, I actually have. I did actually write a notepad thing for what I was hoping for for the Ogre DLC and stuff, like Bruiser, Heroes, Yetis, Thunder Tusks as like the big DLC selling centerpiece single entity unit that they like to do per faction. Maneater culture variants would be great, and then that's kind of it, except maybe some Noblar units.
Yeah, there's so many Noblar units, aren't there? I only like look at it really fast, but there's like several just different Noblars. Yeah, personally, I'm like
Manbiter armor piercing ones, and then piggyback riders, which If they want comedic units for the Ogre Kingdoms, like that's one. It's just Noblars piggybacking on another Noblar. That's it.
It's like
They're
Meepo
not
and
it.
Dota.
Perfect. It's like the Nurglings, but Noblars.
I mean, the shittest cav unit in the game.
There's also the dude who also used to be a mod. What is he called? Iron got something.
Garkire's skin.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, nice that you actually knew who I was talking about. Iron Skin, yeah, he was pretty cool. I liked that mod campaign actually. He was nice as well. Just a good old Tyrant as well. I guess the other dude would also do like really well.
He is. I played that DLC. He is that mod. He is so OP. It's crazy. Like most. I don't know if you've done a lot of modded campaigns with modded factions, but they're always so OP. It's insane.
I mean, sometimes they're just like, you can definitely tell some mod authors are like, I don't want to make this OP. It's going to be balanced, but then it's just like absolute dog shit instead.
Anyone played with the Necromancy mod? It's insane how cracked that is.
I was playing Tribes of the North, and like this is a super cool mod. I'm not gonna trash that at all. But I was playing like Haka Ailing or whatever, and all of his skill lines were like, dang. His personal skill line had like 5 different things to choose from, and the best one was like something that gave 35% more post battle loots, and the rest were just like garbage compared to that.
Yeah, they're following CA's model,
Yeah.
One really good thing, and then the rest are trash.
Yeah, I guess so. Then it was like 3 skill points to make berserkers better or something.
So what about? Obviously, we're going to get legendary heroes because CA love that shit. So what legendary heroes for the ogres?
I mean, Bragg the Gutsman could work really well.
I was thinking, I was like, I like that guy.
I really don't think there's any other like Brog. Slave Lord is maybe another option. He's like a slaver guy, but like Bragg's the legendary hero. He's like the legendary hero.
It's always
so
like
cool.
It's always really hard as well to like see what CA is gonna put in or like who they're gonna put in, because you can never guess at all. Like it's one of those things that is, I think it's just so funny as well, because they can add in anyone, right? It's like, oh yeah, so which necromancer hero would you put in? We were like, oh, well, you have like Van Hels, and you have these and these, and you have like a bunch of Necrarch. That would be pretty cool. And they're like Gorst. That's who we're going to put in.
Perfect. Nailed it.
Or like, what vampire pirates should we have? This mutant that doesn't like vampires and hates Norskins.
I think a collective nobody saw the Vampire Coast coming, though. Like, I did not in a million years didn't expect Vampire Coast. I didn't even know they existed,
Yeah,
really
they had
addition.
like,
I like them a lot, but never expected that.
Yeah, they have like they had a really small roster that you could play on the tabletop. If I remember, they did like a sub faction,
They weren't even Chaos Dwarf level. They were below Chaos, because Chaos Dwarves didn't have a armies book. They had a White Dwarf Presents.
It was like 3 or 4 unique things for the Vampire Coast. I think it was like a sub faction. You played vampires, and then you played like with a couple of cannons and something. I think I never played it myself, but from what I remember several years ago when I read up about it.
So what about orcs? What are we expecting for the orcs then? / goblins.
I see one of 2 eventualities, and it's what Fred was saying, where it's like Grimgor and Azhag, and the others that don't really have anything get something, or they try and rework the whole system and make it much worse. Because right now, I think Greenskins they're okay. They don't need an overarching rework, just little faction ones like the Empire got.
I don't know if it's Grom specifically, but I did a Grom stream recently, did like a full campaign, like got 50, 70 turns in, whatever. Really fun campaign, obviously. But like, yeah, you're sort of there's only a couple of good upgrades you can get whenever, and it's kind of plays the same every time, but it's so fun. Like, for such an old faction, it's still so fun. But like, what more could you add? Like, I think the only lords they've got left, right, is like Gorbad, who's like a boar guy, or like a forest goblin spider guy.
Yeah, there's the dudes who are in the skill tech tree as well. You can technically put those in as well.
You got Morgrim Neck Snapper. I remember him.
Morgrim. I just like does any like I feel like a boar centric I feel like you said. I think boar riders are like the worst greenskin unit. They're like
Yeah.
alongside. I'm
They
not
also
a
have the
fan of
longest.
Cav
Those have
at
like the
all.
longest and most difficult thing to say. It's like, what was it called? Savage Orc Boar Riders Big Guns or something.
It's savage, yeah. But I feel like boar riders and greenskin cav in general are just things that I don't recruit. I've never seen anybody
Same.
recruit them in their own campaigns. As far as I know, nobody recruits spider riders. Nobody recruits boar riders. There's no point. You have so
they're-
much. You just swarm them with goblins or orcs, and you win. Like, or maybe get some trolls, some artillery, some giants
they're-
even. But
They're multiplayer units, right? So like you use them there because they got value in multiplayer, but single player not so much.
nah. Yeah, I really don't know what they're gonna add. It's weird. Like, I think either choice is going to be like, hey, it's more greenskins. How can you go wrong, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's like isn't there like the spear chuckas? There's savage.
Dude.
What is that? Is that bad? This is my second language, man. I don't know everything.
Imagine if they just pulled a fast one though and threw in like a little pygmy FLC in there.
No,
Jesus.
but there is like a big ballista thing that's called a goblin spear chucka. There's also mangler squigs. But here's the thing. I do not think we will not have the colossal cave squig.
Oh, I hope.
Yeah,
That's one of the few units for a greenskin thing I actually really, really would like.
Yeah, because every time I play greenskins, like I always want like the big monsters. I think they're really cool in the horde. Like you see those in the background, and you see like a couple of Ragnarok spiders, or like I love the lava spiders, lava Ragnarok spiders. I mean, like in the background, just moving in. But the cave squig would also be really, really cool.
Oh, they don't need more big monsters, to be honest. The number of times you get this thing where you're like late in the game, when the game spawns armies, it tends to just go completely off its face. It'll do an Okoy. It'll spawn like 19 giants, like a stack of just 19 giants, and just be like, "That's your army. Enjoy." I lose my mind every time it does that.
Even on the harder difficulty, I feel like most factions just still recruit mid-tier infantry units.
They recruit the mid-tier. It's when the game spawns an army. So, for example, if it's
like end times.
Yeah, or like if you've got an event, or like Malachi's adventure, so you do like one of Malachi's adventures towards the end of your game, and the army that it spawns is literally just like 19 Ragnarok spiders, or it's half soul grinders, half lords of change, that kind of thing, and you just end up having to deal with this complete insane stack. So the idea of fighting 19 cave squigs just fills me with dread.
I mean,
I kind of want more of that though. Like, I want to be challenged and shit on more by the AI, to be honest. Like, I don't want them to get all these unfair advantages like the regen and stuff, but them having high quality units is really, really refreshing from fighting the same infantry spam that they usually do, you know? I kind of want them to throw a 19 colossal squig army at me. Give me a taste of my own medicine.
So I was just going to ask you, okay, like, what units would you really like to see in the DLC? Because like you've just played a Grom campaign, like obviously you've only had goblins from turn 1 to like turn 80, right?
Like more goblins, please.
It's more goblins.
Yes,
they're so good. I'm such a goblin simp, though. They're great.
Let's get some snotlings in the game. Come on.
I gotta say, like the orcs in general do feel very goblin based, though. You know, every time I think of greenskins, I think Grom and goblin spam and like the sneaky stabbers, and like my brain just goes to goblins because I feel like they have the most fun campaigns. You know, like Grimgor and Azag are the only real orc characters. And Wurzag, I guess. Wurzag has a very one-dimensional savage campaign, which is surprisingly fun. He's actually really good.
That's my favorite one, actually.
Yeah, the charge bonus and stuff. Yeah, and plus having a really powerful caster for them is great. But they kind of feel down on orcs. So actually, a good Gorbad, with like a bunch of really like chunky orc infantry and stuff, like whatever they're missing.
Yeah,
the big bosses, because they still don't have a melee hero option.
The thing I would really want is black orcs with like shields and like axes and
the immortals too, and an ROR would be really, really cool.
Yeah, because like Black Orcs are just experts in like almost any weapon, so they have like almost any weapon combination as well that is melee. So it's just weird that we have just one version that is like relatively squishy for a high tier unit like this.
Yeah. Them getting Unbreakable would be really nice. Like one of the few end tier infantry units with Unbreakable. They'd have to have some kind of, debuff, something like, or maybe Unbreakable over a certain amount of hit points, or something like that. Like something to really make them scary. Because right now, like if you put them up against Depth Guard will just shit on them, just throw them in the trash.
Yeah.
Like so they're a little bit a big orc DLC, big old bad orc DLC would be great.
That would be nice.
I do think though that if they're gonna go like they always want thematics, right? So either they want somebody who ties everybody in, or some experts dude that just like gets all the fightiest black orcs and like the heaviest orc dudes or something like that. Get a closer cave squig, or they're gonna go like full on forest goblins. Forest goblins in the lore are just like absolutely terrifying. There's this one Gottlieb and Felix book where they're just camping out in the jungle, and some other dudes are camping with them as well. And one of them is just grabbed up into a tree because they're just climbing the tree, so he just like grabs them because goblins in the lore are basic like chimps, like they're like chimp strength, right? It's just they're not very good at fighting usually, but they're just terrifying. And then they have their poises and they ride giant spiders, and it's terrifying, man.
Forest spider focus will be pretty interesting because I can't say I've ever really used them all that much.
I was gonna say, like, that's the thing with if they do add in, say, Gorbad, and then they make it boar centric, that would suck. That would be really not fun. Or if they make it spider themed, spider goblins, like he buffs. It'd be like adding in the other goblin guy, Gitla, the hunter, who's like a goblin wolf rider guy. Imagine if it was a goblin wolf rider centric campaign. That would suck
goblin riders
so bad. That would suck so bad.
I mean, the Wolf Riders in general aren't a terrible unit. They're worse than Squigs in pretty much every way.
And they're terrible, and put them in the trash. Get rid of them, please.
I mean, wolf fighters. They can't. Sometimes they can't even handle goddamn archers.
No, they are actually worse than wolves. Like they're somehow worse than a regular wolf. And they're riding a wolf. It's dumb. I think they need a rework. They're so bad. I already have such an issue with Cav in general because they are supposed to be good in charges and they can't do that. Even the ones that have good charge bonus are so mid in a charge. They have to stay in combat, and then because of the way the charge bonus, like they don't, like in 3K, it's all about charging. You devastate with a charge. It kills tons of infantry and it feels really satisfying and crunchy and like Rome 2, Med 2. But then Cav in Warhammer, it's like just a mobile infantry unit with a lot of speed and with extra steps. And they are okay at psychocharging, in the high end. Like your monstrous cavalry smashing into a low tier infantry will just delete it. But like that's such a hyperbolic top end versus low end example. But everything in the middle ground just doesn't feel good. And then light cav, like how bad are Kosovo dervishes?
They're so bad.
Hey, those guys, they're useless.
Laughably bad. They can get value in multiplayer, I guess, but how many people actually play the multiplayer and use skirmish stuff to have fun?
I still have like bad flashbacks to when we had early access to Warhammer 3, and I remember it was like in a Kislev siege, and I had dervishes and I cycle charged them, and some dude in chat just kept coming in. He's like, "You have to cycle charge the dervishes. That's how you do it." And then he just like kept on explaining what cycle charging was and stuff like that. I was like, "Well, you can see I'm doing it. They're just dying when you do that. They do nothing. Like I'm cycle charging the back of something and they're dying." It's like, God damn it! I was so mad. Yeah, I guess. But something I wouldn't be mad at though is Mangler squigs. You guys know what that is?
Yeah.
That is 2 great cave squigs that you chain together and then put them towards the enemy.
A lunatic combination of 2 great cave squigs.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Yes.
A couple of squig, like if they added in like Mangler squigs and the Colossal squig, and then just like really good, like Black Orc variants, some Black Orc regiments are renowned, Black Orc big bosses, so that they finally have a hero. entity because they have Black Orc big bosses. I forgot about that, but they don't have the regular Orc war bosses or whatever. And then because other than that, it's just all Goblin units. You know what I mean? Like, there's not as much Orc stuff missing as there is Goblin stuff, which is unfortunate because they are very Goblin heavy already.
The Warden and Paunch also got a lot of flack like back in the day when it got released because it was like the tech tree became incredibly Goblin centric as well. It was very, very few buffs for orcs, but they changed that a little bit.
It seems like
they could make all the Goblin buffs also apply to orcs, but then orcs will be insane. That would be so good.
Yeah, but like some of the goblins are still like really, really good. Like I was playing Skarsnik, and you just make sneaky stabbers, or no, sneaky skulkers, right? That's basically, and then you start getting big monsters as well. But something that I would really love to see, because this is something that was a big talking point in like Warhammer 1 and 2, is that Skarsnik should have, or should he not have, stalking stance? Because that's pretty cool that he could just ambush anyone. Skarsnik, like lore-wise, is pretty old at that point. He doesn't, like he leans on his staff quite a lot, and he's just not like full of youth anymore. So maybe just fight smarter with him. So that was essentially something everybody was talking about a lot, because the campaign was just like insanely hard, insanely difficult. Now, obviously, it's not hard. So do you need it? No. But could it be fun? I argue yes.
Maybe Skarsnik should give like Goblin war bosses the ability at a high level to get stalking stance.
We used to
Whether it's even possible to give a stance.
Or just stalk from the get-go. I feel like they're raising the bar already on what is strong. Like, well, how strong all the new factions are compared to the old ones. So Greenskins, in some ways, are really strong. Like, Wogs, I would argue, is one of the most OP things in the game. It's so... like, Grimgar is almost always strength rank 1, or Skarsnik is in almost every campaign that I do, just because the second they pop a Wog, they double in size. And for most factions, you're fighting 2 full armies, oftentimes with a lot of, unique units in there, like Wyverns for Azag, Black Orcs for Grimgar, whatever. And it is, it's a lot of chaff, spam, whatever you can deal with it. But, like, playing as Zatan recently in a campaign... Grimgar is still such a force to be reckoned with, even after all these OP factions are around him and everything, like Tamarkan and whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
God.
Quickly, someone say something now.
What about Khorne?
No, I was actually going to say that, like, I had this discussion earlier this last week, where, like, a strength rank is a pretty, like, bad metric of how well. I used to use that one a lot as well, until, like, I was thinking, like, why are the Dark Elves always, like, number 1? Are they, like, the strongest? It's like, no, they just pop a bunch of Black Arcs.
Wasn't there a bug about that?
Yeah, they popped too many.
Because I did notice there was a campaign I was playing, and I eventually made it over to Ulthuan, and literally the center of Ulthuan was just Marathi Black Arcs. She had like 2 settlements, but she had like I counted about 12 Black Arcs.
God.
Just like sailing around Ulthuan, doing fuck all. The weird thing was, like, both she was at war with all the High Elves, and also with Mazdamundi. I was this is my Grom campaign, so I landed on Ulthuan, invading it, eventually got there. Mazdamundi declared war on me. Mazdamundi was sailing armies over to Ulthuan that were being ignored by the Black Arcs. The Black Arcs were just like, nah, that's not my problem.
Standard.
The AI can't function with a lot of stuff, I think, like that. Like, they don't know how to use Black Arcs. They don't build up the buildings properly. They don't benefit from the growth. They don't recruit good units from it. They just kind of, like, float around providing their AoE stuff. And it's a lot like Ogre camps. Like, the AI don't know how to... half the time, Ogre Kingdoms don't build Ogre camps. Like, I was playing a Greases campaign where I installed this mod that allows you to vassalize a faction once you destroy them. So I tried to, like, Pokemon collect all the Ogre Kingdoms, and instead of confederating them, just vassalizing them and see how they build up and see if they can actually become effective. And they just sort of wandered around building up mediocre armies, not really expanding and whatever, like the AI does. But they don't build camps. They barely built any camps. There was like 2 camps between 5 Ogre Kingdoms factions. Like, it's like the AI can't function correctly with them. I think it's the same with Black Orcs. They just don't. They like the Beastmen too. They just really struggle. They don't know what to do. They're just so stupid. Like with
it's very often you'll see like just a bunch of Black Orcs by some minor port somewhere, just hanging out, like 7 or 8 of them. It's so weird.
You noticed the recent patches, the AI tends to just hang out near its capital. Like if you find its capital, it'll tend to have like 4 or 5 armies just like backed up around it, not doing.
I think there might be something to do with the programming of some factions, because you see that with like the Wood Elves, but they're supposed to be like that, right? They're supposed to just hunker down and defend their little vegan swamp, vegan forest, whatever. And then like everyone else, and then you have like aggressive factions like Grimgor, who just expands like he should. He expands Dong, just destroys everything, takes over everything. It's really good for those certain factions. But some of them just behave really strangely though.
Yeah, I also think it's thanks to like how they, the base infrastructure works, because Greenskins obviously can go almost anywhere and just like start thriving well, because they just have like simple money building, simple growth, like control, and they just like start spreading everywhere, right? But then it's like, what is the AI supposed to do with a Black Orc? Are they just like, they can't land invade anything? They're just gonna sail around a little bit, just do a little cruise. Oh, man, when you mentioned that earlier, I'm actually gonna cycle just to take a little tour back there with the mercenaries. Dang, I really hope that they're gonna fix that aspect, that where you can actually recruit more ogre stuff, because it's so weird with like one bull. In Warhammer 2, you could have like the some cav, and you could have what was it, like Iron Guts or something.
And the man-eaters. Was it the man-eaters?
Man-eaters, yeah. Man-eaters as well. It was like 3 or 4 things you could have.
Yeah. The different, I think man-eaters by definition, like literally are the mercenaries. They wander around, like they're so fascinating. I love man-eaters. I think that they could be a really, really good thing for the ogres, because they're going to need some big centerpiece thing other than like units and whatever, new mechanics, reworks and whatever, but something new. I think that's a huge, like man-eaters could be, like a build your own man-eater thing could be great, but then maybe make it so other people can also recruit those man-eaters from you, or some kind of variation. Would be really, really cool. Like you could almost put them up for sale, kind of like if you're near a camp that is producing these man-eaters, whatever culture variant.
That sounds so advanced. I can't even like imagine them managing to program something like that, unless it just becomes like a caravan.
I just don't want to see them be like, all right, we're gonna add in dual weapon man-eaters and that's fine, because they're just the Empire variant. It makes no sense. Like it's untapped potential. You know what I mean? Even if it's like they don't do this big crazy customizer, just having at least a couple more culture variants. Like they have Empire ones, so now you could have like Cathay style ones and like whatever.
Wouldn't that be cool actually, if you got like mercenary contracts to do that with somebody, and then you got actually man-eaters from their culture, like a certain amount, like Rakarth gets wild animals kind of thing almost, and you just have like a bunch of those, and then you can just recruit X amount of man-eaters, which are just different kinds of ogres, basically, in fancy dress up.
I think all of it combined could be great, though, because like if you have fully mobile camps, say you could play Greases, you could confederate. Also, I think, by the way, Greases should have a confederation or vassalization mechanic with all the ogre kingdoms, because he's literally the over tyrant. His whole story is like he unified all the ogre tyrants, became the over tyrant, and like became so rich and successful and too fat to walk and whatever, right? But then you get in and you just, all the ogre kingdoms around you die, or you confederate them. That's kind of it. Him having the Grimgor thing. Every time you defeat an ogre, a greenskin lord, you get the option, like same with Norska and stuff, just to improve his campaign among other things. But like I think all of these reworks would work really well for ogres, because you could like get in, pick up all your stuff, pack up all your camps, do maybe a contract, and then move over to like the Empire or whatever, and then set up shop in the Empire on and then start taking contracts, like a 20-turn bandit contract from 3K, start devastating factions, enemies of the Empire and stuff, build up a bunch of military allies and money and economy, keep building camps and stuff, and then go like, all right, I'm gonna go to the Badlands, whatever. There's like suddenly like a really unique, fun, mobile campaign, and you're actually like nomads then. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because imagine
so
if you
can do.
Imagine if you like take over stuff, you sell it to them, and then you get a military alliance because they like you enough. So you have, you know, your camps in friendly territory where you don't get trespass penalties for it.
I mean, you could literally just reuse the grudge mechanic, right? Just like, okay, this faction is your target. They get values on all their cities and their armies. You kill those, sack those to get the value that has been attributed to it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then,
like
and then you stack that up and you get a big reward at the end. And then and a ton of diplomatic relations. And also, if you've got a contract with somebody, that giving you automatic military access, so you can kind of go through their lands and attack their enemies and stuff. There's so many, like, I feel like all this is like easily programmable, or maybe not easy. I'm not gonna say easy, but it's doable, and it could be really, really cool. It really make the ogres feel unique and valued, and maybe people actually, you know, play them. Please, guys, they're worth it. Please. So
the thing
cool.
is, I think all of my favorite factions, Beastmen, Wood Elves, and I know people are going to go, "What Wood Elves? You like Wood Elves?" Because I always talk about how much I hate tight-wearing freaks, but I like the campaign. The Wood
It's
Elves
so
are a
fun.
good campaign, and the Chaos War. I think Chaos War is a really good campaign as well. And the reason for them having good campaigns is the fact that you get to travel around a lot. You are not constrained to existing in one portion of the map. You get to travel. You get to meet new and interesting people and kick the shit out of them. And that is what Total War should be about.
Yeah, adds so much replay value.
I love
Most
the Wood Elves.
factions, you just kind of get constrained because you have to look after your settlements. You expand gradually. And
like every Malekith campaign will always be the same, where you just take over the things around you, and then you go to Ulthuan, and then you're bored of it and you do something else.
I think it's the flavor. Like, so why I loved Warriors of Chaos when they added them in, because it feels like a new faction paradigm where you're just you take a couple of Doom Keeps, and then it's just like a Pokemon Vassal collection sim, and you just and you know, it's not just painting the map. It's you go destroy a faction tactically and then enslave them, build them back up, give them settlements and buildings and stuff, and it's like this big pet that you've got, and they just expand. You get money from them, and you just have this huge web of all these like military vassals, and it's so fun and engaging. And like actually some of my longest campaigns have been Warriors of Chaos, despite, you know, whatever, because Ogre Kingdoms, because of their mid-ass mechanics, as much as I love them, I just can't get into a campaign for that long with them. I think the longest one out there is like turn 100, and it's just not that fun. You're just occasionally building camps, and it's just still a map painter. But like
I've literally done like 230+ hours just sitting like playing the Warriors of Chaos, because that's the only faction I would be able to do that with.
Yeah, that's what I love about the Warriors of Chaos is the fact that you don't have all these shitty little settlements to worry about. There's someone else's problem. You can just do the fun stuff. You don't have to do the admin.
Yeah. Some people love that, because there's plenty of factions that are already like that. If you like the whole economic side of it and building up, like my girlfriend loved playing 3K because it's so economy and diplomacy heavy, and she likes all that. She doesn't like doing all the micro in battle and stuff because it's just too much at once. But being able to build up your own, like this huge economy and have all these alliances and stuff, and there's just so much to do. Like, really enjoyed that, which is, you know, and I enjoy that. And then in Total War Warhammer, which has the best combat and stuff, I also enjoy that because it's so lacking in diplomacy and things outside of just a map painting combat sim. You know, I think that faction variation is so good. Like Chaos Dwarves, I forgot playing Zatan recently that they don't rely on growth. You build up supplies, and then you use supplies to fast track your economy. So you can
it's such a good system.
You can set up you can just start like raising big settlements to get tons of military supplies to like fast track your economy to tier 5 and start recruiting really good units really, really early. Stuff like that. It gets all in your control, and it's not based on growth, and that's so unique from all factions. I think every faction works on growth except for the Chaos Dwarves. And maybe no, even Warriors of Chaos. Yeah, like everybody.
I think how the Chaos Dwarves are with their like military, like you're meant to initially use all their hobgoblins, and your Chaos Dwarves are like your very elite units until later on they take over. The Greenskins should just copy that sort of theming. Like goblins are very good, and you can use them till the end. However, the Greenskins are much more expensive, but they need to be much more better, because right now they're just like bigger, fatter, slower, not really
I
as
think
entertaining to
Depends
use.
who you're playing, though, right? Like, if I'm playing Grimgore, I definitely take Orc Boys or Azeg, just because they are more. I agree, they should be a little bit better. I think, like than goblins, but like regular goblins, I still think get beaten out by Orc Boys. Unless I'm the only guy still recruiting Orc Boys, and maybe that's just me.
No, I mean, like in those campaigns, like especially Asa, you just get so many bonuses for Orc Boys. They just come online too late, I think.
Yeah, but it's like he also gets them for biggins. So like once
Yeah.
I get tier 3, I just replace them all with biggins, and then I never look back.
Wouldn't it be cool though if like Ogres got like the reverse Beastman campaign? So you set up like a camp anywhere in like, for example, the Empire, right? And then you start taking over enemy places, and you just like around it, instead of like having blood ground, you get like the money ground basically, where you just like rebuild it and give it back to like Empire or whoever like hired you. Or you could also do it for like vampires and give and like fight the Empire.
I literally did it. That's one of my favorite campaigns that I've done with the current Ogres is actually pretty much exactly that. I did a diplomacy scrag campaign. I did like a whole like many turn live stream, but basically you just unify your first province, and then every single settlement that you take, give it to another faction. So like kill the border princes, give that to Belagar, get a massive military alliance and make him love you, and then like build military buildings in the building so that they're worth 10 times the value. And then, because that's like a little exploit, like you build a basic level 1 military building in a settlement, then gift it away, and it's worth like 50 in the diplomacy thing. So you can guarantee a military alliance immediately. And then, so you just give all that away, and then every time you can get a camp, you can put it in one of your provinces one of your settlements in your province. So you can have like 3 camps in one location, and then you can start building them in your allies' territory. So like it's like turn 90, you have like 5 camps, and then you have a military alliance with like the entire empire and all the dwarves, basically, and you've got like a huge mega alliance, and that's currently doable now, like in game, and it's pretty much my favorite campaign in the game, because it's one of the few diplomacy based campaigns that you can do, and it's so fun. Like it's really 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 fun. And you guys have powerful allies.
I think a lot of people like kind of forget that Ogres are supposed to be they're not order or destruction factions. Like they're neutrals. They should be able to work with everybody. But current Ogres kind of work against everybody instead, which is kind of weird. But you should really like be able to do some amount of diplomacy, at least at the start of the campaigns, like that.
I mean, diplomacy in Warhammer's balked anyway.
True.
Well, somewhat.
Everyone's so racist, the cultural racism that we got. It's like that's in not many other Total Wars. The huge amount of just racism, massive cultural racism.
Actually, we call it a version in this version.
Yeah, the Ogres really don't have any like. I think the highest they have is like 40 a version, and that's to like very specific factions, like maybe dwarves. But they hate everyone, so.
Yeah.
Should probably talk about Khorne.
Went back into the Ogres there. It was a little bit of chaos.
They're so interesting and cool, though. What can you do?
Yeah, but speaking of chaos, we also got Khorne.
I find Khorne a very strange faction. Because every Scarbrand campaign I've played, I'm like, well, Scarbrand is basically a wrecking ball. But that's basically the campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. Scarbrand murders everyone that gets in his path.
Yeah.
And that's kind of it. Like, there's kind of, you kind of have some settlements, but they're not really that important.
He has that movement thing that you can abuse and cheese as well, to like take like 10 locations in like one turn or whatever, but like abusing the mechanics of it and like keeping your movement range going and then getting in more fights and whatever. I've seen other people take advantage of it. I've just always played him as just a wrecking ball, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, like the world record's 8 turns to have long victory. Wow. Which is like, and people keep reminding me of this all the time, and I'm just gonna have to say that nobody else is doing that. That's the world record. Stop bringing that up as the good example of a good campaign. God damn it. Nobody else is playing like that.
People always put the meta sweaty, like crazy tryhard playthroughs on a pedestal, though. I feel like that's the amount of backseat gaming that you get sometimes in streams. I'm sure you guys get it from people just trying to force you to do the most meta possible things. You know, I try to play for theme or the meta.
Yeah, I mean, the backseating, man, I always get that one. But like you said, well, like what we mentioned here, like Scarbrand is kind of weird because it is the Scarbrand is the wrecking ball. And that is both the fun, the appeal, and also kind of the thing why you stop playing after like 50 turns, because after that you're like, you know, you've done every single battle as Scarbrand, and now you still don't get Minotaurs.
Small note with Khorne as well is that, or with any of the demonic factions, is I am not a fan of demonic units.
No.
Like Warriors of Chaos work so well because the Warriors of, like, the human versions of Chaos units are great. Like, they don't crumble, they don't have demonic instability. But when playing as Scarbrand, I just Marauder spam every time because the demon units suck ass. Bloodletters just if they get morale shocked, which they will inevitably, they're very squishy. They do a lot of damage, but they're really expensive and they're really squishy and they don't do enough to justify their worth. And then half the time, if they get damaged, they're gone forever. You're gonna have to re-recruit them, and when you re-recruit them, they're gonna be really expensive and it's gonna mess up your economy, and it's just like not worth it at all. So I think demonic instability needs a big rework, and the demon units need a big buff. You know?
Yeah, they did get some buffs now last patch, but like I don't know if it was enough though. Like you said, I always just get to Warriors of Chaos instead of demons because like the Bloodletters, like even Scarbrand will just sometimes in some sieges like, oh, now he has like 30 or 40% health left, but he's sad and he's going to die unless I get him like on the other side of the walls and just sit there with him. Then maybe he can survive the battle, but he's like out of the battle.
Just need to go lock my dad out of my house one sec.
And it was one of the multiplayer guys that said this, that's effectively all of them just have like 1,000 or 2,000 less health, essentially every single demon, just because they're just going to crumble and die before. And it's such a good way to see it. It's like, less health, really. That's what they have.
They buffed Furies recently as well, gave them like 20 more unit models and a bunch of more charge bonus and damage or something. Like they give them a ton of leadership. That was a huge leadership buff. And I was like, oh, this is great because now maybe you can actually use Furies without them immediately breaking, crumbling, and then being, you know, just then they're gone. They're just, their demonic instability kicks in. They're gone in seconds.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll change. Even like Biggins, like not Biggins. What are they called? The giant rock things for Greenskins. Just recent, they got changed.
Rogue Idol.
So they don't have Unbreakable anymore.
Yeah, they're constructs now, right?
Yeah,
huge nerf.
I really don't like demonic instability, and it's the same as like Kadai Fireborn and Kadai Destroyers are also kind of mid because of the demonic instability.
The constructs are is like I get so angry about those because it's a huge nerf to some of my favorite units. Like it's just so bad.
Forces to be reckoned with.
I don't know who was asking for
it about that. Yeah. It makes more sense. Like I'm not going to argue it doesn't make sense. Just that they need to nerf demonic instability. It's too bad. It ruins you. It's actually so like a huge nerf. You're right.
Yeah, it's just so weird because even like the Rogue Idol, if you check, in the lore, they're just these things that just come alive and then they don't really know how to stop them anyway. But apparently, if everyone else leaves, they do as well. So
yeah,
kind of weird.
I do wonder sometimes if the Creative Assembly devs kind of play the same game we do. Because things like demonic instability, I don't think they think it's that bad. I think they're kind of like, this is fine.
Because they do one campaign maybe once a month. Like,
probably. But you just think
testing it.
It's worse because you have to stop to recruit stuff. Running away is better. If a unit breaks and runs away, it will survive the battle. Replenishment is such that unit will be back to full health in 2-3 turns.
Yeah.
Whereas if it disintegrates because it's sad,
it's like the Champions of Chaos who can get demonic in the last skill tree in the personal line. I would never get that ever.
Valkyria as well. If you upgrade Valkyria's unique skill tree, her last one gives her demonic, and I never get it because why would I debuff her? Give her demonic. I'm not going to do that. She's currently like she can. It makes her like not unbreakable, but it like gives her some kind of small buff as well, like physical resistance from being demonic, and she can get like 40% physical resistance. But it's like if she's already so strong. If she gets low enough that with the 40% physical resistance, or if somebody has magical attacks, she's gonna die because of demonic. It's not. It's literally a debuff. It's so bad.
It's so
fact
weird.
It's her last skill suggests they think it's a buff.
Exactly.
But it's such a weird thing as well, because like lore-wise, Valka is a demon princess. I know some of you guys out there are like the tabletop, and you're like, no, she's not a demon princess. Yes, they retconned her. She's a demon princess. She should be demonic from the get-go, but not like that. It's same like Archeon also gets like demonic as his end thing, doesn't he? And he would just hate that. And it also would mean that he would be on par with Be'lakor as an undivided demon prince as well. Because if you like make somebody demonic, that is making them a demon prince. You don't just make somebody a demon, they become a demon prince. A demon prince is some mortal that became a demon, and then you just like get rid of their soul and put in like chaos energy instead, and it just becomes like demonic. But it's just like so weird, man, that they just have that as a skill at all.
In fairness, that whole Demon Prince thing has always been a little bit fucking wackadoo as far as Games Workshop is concerned, because you can have
his favorite campaign. The Daniel one.
Because he's fucking terrible.
Wait, who?
Daniel's so raw. He's so bad.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god. No buffs, no benefits towards demonic units. Imagine if he had like a buff that like nerf the shit out of demonic instability, or he had like unbreakable demon units or something, like plus 50 leadership for all demon units faction wide, and like 25% upkeep reduction. That alone would make him probably ridiculously OP, let's be honest, but really fun. Because he himself is, when you upgrade him really high, is one of the strongest lords in the game.
Yeah,
legitimately, he gets some of the gear you can get, some of the abuses with the mechanics you can do. Like you can get when he's like level 5 or some shit, and you have enough to get the Nurgle and Khorne thing, you can get a tail that does an AoE Mortis Engine effect, and wings that do another full like Mortis Engine damage, like whatever to 32 damage. So you can stack those on top of each other. So you can just sit him in the middle of infantry, and he's doing like 50 damage per second to everything around him. He's like a mega Mortis Engine.
Yeah,
he gets like 5,000 value every single battle. So there's abuses you can do, but everything else except Daniel sucks ass. It's so bad. Also, he should be able to recruit Marauders. He shouldn't be able to recruit non-demon units.
I used to do meme campaigns though, and only get Furies with him, because he could buff Furies from every single tree, and that would like stack towards the normal ones. So if you have like, I don't know if you guys ever do this, but if you have like 5 or 6 Furies and you surround somebody like an old Mutalisk attack in StarCraft 2, basically, and then you just go from all directions, they will eat up any unit. Like they will eat up an Ironbreaker within like 20 seconds or something. And he can buff them like so hard, but it's still a meme because, like you say, it's just him that's really good. Like sometimes, even though they can eat up like the strongest infantry units, sometimes they start losing, and then they lose within a minute. It's like all of them are just dead and gone.
Yeah, I just stopped recruiting Furies because I was like, that campaign, I was like, I'm just gonna recruit Furies. So I had like 4 different variants in this recent campaign, and I went and fought Malice, and all the Furies mobbed onto one unit, got flanked by like a unit of the half decent cav, whatever, Cold One Riders, and the entire stack of literally I think 9 or 10 Furies all simultaneously. I thought it was a bug. Their leadership broke. They crumbled and they were gone in the space of maybe 15 seconds when I took my eyes off them. So I lost my entire army basically. It's just ass. Like if they were Marauders, or didn't have demonic instability, like Furies or Bats or literally any other flying unit in the game, they would have been fine. Or they would have retreated, or something. But it's too punishing, man. Like, they don't even have any, like, I think demonic instability, they should nerf the amount of damage it does, give all demonic units in the game a little bit more leadership, and then also give them a weapon strength and melee attack buff as they are crumbling that gets more intense until they're dead. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like no death blow animation, whatever. They just get stronger. A lot like I've forgotten the name of it again. The giant SEM for Greenskins with a mask.
Rogue Idol.
Rogue Idol?
Scaling. Yeah, it has damage scaling based on its health. Like that for demonic units could be really fun because then it's like, yes, they're really squishy and can die, but they'll get really strong when they're almost dead, and it kind of almost offsets it and gives them a reason why they're so expensive.
Yeah, I mean, like that would actually be really cool. Just having like a glass cannon just going in and just like murdering stuff the last second as well.
Yeah.
I think isn't that kind of what Slayers do as well? Now that I think about it, no, they have death blows. It's kind of like a little bit different, but
They're also totally unbreakable. They're just better demon units. Really.
yeah, they are actually. That's weird. If you guys could change one thing about the Khorne campaign, what would you do then? Personally, I was thinking about this, and I would probably have like some sort of blood grounds. That where I've been, I would get extra growth from that, because only growth from fighting is cool, but it's also like tedious as heck most of the time, because you don't have that much money, so you have to like keep on fighting. You have to do it manually to like minimize losses and stuff.
It's all their good shit's so expensive. And they've got such a bad economy that it's just from my campaigns with them is just maybe a little bit of Marauders, whatever key units he starts with, as many cultists as I can get, and then just Scarbrand, like a 10 unit army in Scarbrand, because Scarbrand will get stupid value.
Yeah.
Like
Scarbrand is a one-man army in himself. When you get the banner and then you get like his Gore Feast, and he's just gonna murder everything anyway.
Gore Feast makes him an actual legitimate scary.
Yeah.
You know? But like I don't really know what units they need. They're so one-dimensional. Like, you know, it's not like they're gonna get any more range stuff. Maybe a Slaughter Brood of Khorne. Like,
I mean, even in when Warhammer 3 got released, everybody was like, Khorne has a pretty good balanced roster, because everybody was just enjoying it, and it was like, you know, after a while you get Minotaurs if you play long enough, and Minotaurs are the best monsters infantry unit in the game, so they're always gonna be good. But you can always add in more stuff. Like, for example, you can have Khorne Gores.
I see you've got the same wiki as me open on your second screen.
They're definitely gonna have Khorne Gores.
You also got the Doom Bulls of Khorne, like as heroes.
Yeah.
You have. Do they have shielded variants of Khornators already? Otherwise, they can have that. Then there's also like the Skull Reapers, and Wrathmongers as well, but a Slaughter Brood, as you said.
Although every Condium just sounds like a metal band.
I mean, yeah, they do that.
Khorne is a very fairly one-dimensional faction. I think my problem with Khorne in general is that it just the whole them taking settlements thing just feels off and always has. And I don't know what the answer to that is.
Oh yeah, I forgot about this one. I have to say this one before I forget this one. This is just for you, Okoy. So there's this Khorne ogre in the Archaon books that is called the Great Spleen, and basically they just like sedate this dude with drugs constantly, just because when he wakes up, he's just gonna murder and eat everybody all the time, and it's just a lovely, like, good character.
I think
Great Spleen. I've never heard of this.
Great Spleen. He's just in the book though, so he's a side character like Gorst. He doesn't have a model, I don't think, or anything. Maybe he does.
Well, next legendary lord then.
If I was to
legendary hero for sure, he just like put him out there, and then he's just gonna murder stuff.
You have a button. You have to keep pressing the button, otherwise he wakes up and just kills everyone on the map.
I really feel like Khorne has such a small unit roster, and they benefited so much from the Warriors of Chaos expansion for Khorne's side, and all of their unique, like the Skull Cannons, which I love. They suck ass, by the way. I got one in my recent campaign with Valkia, and I got a Skull Cannon, and I was like, oh, cool, Skull Cannon, like something unique, like regens ammo in melee combat, has regen in melee combat, it's actually surprisingly good, like melee animations with all these spinning and whatever. The missiles are like a long-range sneeze. They're it's so bad, it's unreal. Like, I don't know if they've been nerfed or something because of the multiplayer scene, and I just never really played Khorne campaigns in long enough to get them, so I just never use them. But like, I emptied the entire magazine into like, I think Malice again. Like, I'd gone up and fought Malice, whatever. Just shooting at regular. I know that they have silver shields, so maybe that was the thing. But just like unloaded an entire magazine, terrible accuracy, terrible damage, and got about, I think, like 200 value from like an entire salvo of ammunition at mid range, which for a unit that costs like 260 a turn or something, like, is so bad. Like, I know it has all this other stuff, like it's good in melee, whatever, but like even some of their key units are all over the board. Like, when do you ever see anybody recruiting skull cannons in multiplayer or single player? Just doesn't really happen.
Yeah,
Like,
they're
units
not
could do
that
with a
cool.
rebalance.
But Wrathmongers could be cool because they're basically like the Doomseeker Slayers, with access on chains and stuff like that. It's just that they have like larger chains and they're half armored basically.
And they probably have a chance to get sad and disintegrate.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like they're just warriors, and then you have Skull Reapers, who's also like half armored dudes with great weapons. So they're supposed to. Well, I guess if you have Khorne Gores, what the hell are Skull Reapers gonna do anyway?
I don't think. I mean, let's face it. Khorne's always going to be. I mean, apart from the skull cannons, obviously, they're always going to be melee units. So because they're fairly one-dimensional. I mean, realistically, at the end of the day, if you want a really good Scarbrand army, it's Scarbrand, and then if you feel like it, sprinkle in chosen Chaos Warriors and Minotaurs. Job done.
Yeah. They don't have a lot of units left. I really am curious to see what they're going to add. Like, I'm looking through this list of Khorne units, and it's like Karanax on there, but he's coming. Obviously, there's like a Skull Taker Lord, which are they already in game? Is that what the lords are called? The Skull
Taker.
Skull Takers of Khorne. That's right. That's the Lord variant of the not Blood Reapers, whatever.
The Exalted Blood Reaper.
God, can I just? Khorne names are so annoying. Everything's Blood Reaper, Skull Thrower. It's like it's like just blood skulls and the killing, and then all the units are just variations on that.
Occasionally they throw brass in as well.
Yeah, true.
Yep. But the Slaughter Brute, I think we're definitely gonna guess, because we already have that one in the scenes version, and you're gonna have like a more violent one. Not like I don't know, like it's probably gonna be more. Maybe tankier version of the Jabber Scythe or something. Not really sure what it's really gonna do. One unit that is really cool though, one lore that I would love to see. This is not like a fanfare because everybody seems to think it's gonna be like Usul or Arbal or somebody like that. But there's this dude called Gorgoroth. Is that his name? Wait, I am gonna Gorath the Ravager, and he is. He is like the adopted son of Valkia, basically. He wants to be ever chosen, but he is way too deep into Khorne to ever become this. And he has these clockwork soldiers with him that are, like the Juggernauts, how they're, demonic engines in the shape of a Juggernaut, I guess.
Yeah.
And they're basically that, but in the shape of soldiers. They're, they got gears and switches in them, and like clockwork soldiers, basically. It's really weird for, Khorne to have something like that, but that's what he has. Like, that's what Gorath goes around with. And it's, a really cool thing and very unique, I guess, to have those kind of robotic soldiers.
Sounds cool.
Archaon murders him later.
I never really understood the whole sort of Khorne having robots thing. I just felt...
Oh, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, a little bit.
You need something.
I think that it isn't it something to do with like the realms of chaos overlap with the 40k universe or something like that. So it's technically like in the same universe. No. The Games Workshop has said several times that it's like they're completely separate universes. The Juggernauts are made from
bullshit.
No, 40k is so based on the Warriors. Like there's, Nurgle and Khorne, and it's just
40K. So they have like a lot of stuff. Like all the major demons are named the same, and everything works kind of the same with how the Chaos Gods are and stuff like that. But they just completely different ones.
And I can't remember what it was called, but there was a book, and it was written from the viewpoint of someone in, I think it was Astalia or something, and basically he was going mad and he was writing about the Chaos Gods. And in one section of that, he's writing about Chaos Space Marines. So if they want to say that the Warhammer and Warhammer 40,000 universes are completely separate, then there's
even like
bullshit.
There's even like small books and stuff like that about how Sigmar might have been like a lost Space Marine and stuff like that. But here's the thing. Back in those days, Games Workshop wanted to sell more minis. Surprising, right? But what they did was basically that if people are already in Fantasy or already in 40k, they try to connect the universes to basically just make it so that, you know, people would go over from one place to the other. And then after a while, they just retconned that and they said, like, no, they're completely separate universe because it's just such a weird, like, rabbit hole if you get into it. Like, everybody's always going like, oh, well, the Psychers in 40k are so strong. Like, how many Space Marines would it take to go in, like, take over the fantasy world? It's like probably like a goddamn many. Like, the Warhammer fantasy world has mages that are on like the insane Psyker level. Like the Emperor, he just died. Croak didn't. He's still around. He even wheeled himself back up again. Fuck you, Emperor.
I think it just shows the Emperor's not pulling himself up by his bootstraps. Frankly, he's having a nap.
But the thing is that, like, if a character like Nagash would go into 40k, he would take over a couple of systems. Exterminatus, I don't think would really stop him. Like, he would be basically a new Tyranid plague. Like, it's like a lot of people really underestimate how batshit insane some of the fantasy things actually gets, and that's also one of the reasons why they disconnected them.
Yeah, I still think it's bullshit. I think they're
like Games Workshop has literally said this like out loud that it is completely different ones.
Yeah, but Games Workshop say a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but Games Workshop, what do they know really?
Soul Grinders, I'm sorry, they're 40k units with extra steps. They're just a 40k unit in a fantasy game. They're the most.
I mean, like Juggernauts kind of are.
They literally, there's yeah. But specifically the big robot legs and stuff just screams 40k to me. The gun arms, it's like a mech thing.
Yeah,
like it's just so clearly 40k.
It feels like they're going no. They're completely separate while they're desperately trying to like pull a curtain across something which they obviously can't hide because it's so.
There's also
obvious.
There's also some hints that the 40k universe is in some like some necklace or some ring in the college, Wizard College of Altdorf and shit like that. Like, there's just so many like weird theories and like small hints for stupid stuff like that.
It's because Games Workshop have got, what, 40, 50, how many years now? Odd.
Yeah. With a lot of different writers.
Yeah. So
in a Khorne Lord of Skulls for this DLC, you know, the big tank thing. Hang on, this thing. The 40k tank thing for the Khorne DLC. Oh, you got to click the open chat and voice channels.
Oh.
It's a thing. Oh, I see.
Oh, wait, okay, there you go.
Oh, hell yes.
But then we also, the things they could actually add though are the dude like with the whips.
Like, you're grasping at straws for the Khorne stuff. I feel like everyone, what are they gonna like? Maybe I just don't know enough Khorne units, but I can't even like
the thing is,
find lists of stuff that they could add. It's so bare. Like,
there's
there's
not many demons.
I mean, I personally would like to see Kabanda. I know that some people don't like Kabanda for some reason, but I like him. Kabanda. So if you guys don't know who Kabanda is also a greater bloodthirster, just like Scarband. It's just that he's not brain damage and he's got functioning wings. And some people think that he's more dangerous because he will actually use tactics and strategy and stuff like that.
Oh, he's the Blood Angel guy, isn't he?
Hang on, it's saying that Kaband is a 40k character.
Now he's in like I said earlier, the Chaos Gods, Greater Demon, stuff like that are still the same. You can find 40k page about Scarband as well. Like Kairos, everyone, all the Greater Demons are like they name the same in both.
Yeah, in 40k, he's the Blood Angel groomer guy. He's kind of croapy.
In really fantasy, he comes into play in like the end times.
This guy looks like a slightly more armored version of the current Greater Demon of Khorne. You know, the Lord.
I mean, the problem is Bloodthirsters all look kind of familiar.
Yeah, I mean they do have kind of a aesthetic
I feel like
going.
If they added this guy in as the actual Khorne Lord, it would be a little bit like Wanbo for the
Yeah.
Cathay in like, oh, a third dragon person? You shouldn't have. Like, ooh, like we could have had a monkey king. How dare you? We could have a monkey guy.
I just want to see
hell?
Kabata maybe as a hero or something. I don't really care about him being a lord. I don't think he's going to be the lord because it's just as we Swedes would say, a cake on a cake. It doesn't like make sense.
I don't know that.
Isn't that just a multi-story cake?
Yeah.
It's
It's
like
like
a
a tiered cake, mate. I don't know. Do you have weddings?
Is a hat on a hat a good analogy for that?
Yeah. But you're probably going to get like Usul. You're probably going to have like Arbal, maybe Borath if we're, if they're feeling really risky about it.
Here's one thing they need to change: the fucking cult system.
I'm going to say
All of
this.
the cults are terrible.
Khorne is the only one with anything even slightly resembling a fun cult.
I think Slaanesha's is also okay.
Oh, yeah,
But
that's true because of the
they have like
selection.
and you can put them in factions and whatever. Like it's kind of like an Undercity almost. Like that's cool. Like especially when you start off with Nakari and you got one of your slut rings in like pre-established and the guy is down and to the right of you, and then they immediately get killed by Alariel anyway. But it's there anyway, and that's cool. So, but I like that mechanic. I just never use it. It's like cities are a cool idea, but I never use them.
I use it a ton with Ankara because then you get like some of the from the north or around what the hell is it called? The first demon prince of Slaanesh, dude with snake tail, betrays Sigmar because he kills his sister Ravana. God, I would remember his sister's name instead. Azazel, right? Like Azazel will have some. Right. Are you guys just let it? Like I see, like Moss just sitting there, like
didn't know what you were talking about.
I don't know shit.
The last thing I thought you were talking about some character that wasn't in yet.
No. So Azazel will have like some Slaaneshi corruption, right? And then you can get a cult that will get both seduction, and then he'll spawn another hero, and then you take them further south, and you just keep on doing like making the cult, spawning a cultist. You like to span the last one, and then you just like take the other one, and you just keep on making cults along the way.
Expanded cult mechanics would be really cool.
Yeah,
like it's sort of. I think a part of it is that it worked a lot better in Realms of Chaos, where it was a smaller map with a lot more chaos corruption, a lot more chaos factions.
Yeah.
There was like multiple factions of each chaos god which is the only place you get camps. It's the only place you ever get cults is in like the Chaos Wastes.
Which is so
Harry Norse can just like.
Yeah.
Can you imagine someone coming to you, oh my lord, I've created a cult. Oh brilliant. Where have you created my new Nurgle cult? I've created it in Nurgle Town.
We have a secret cult in the Nurgle settlement, my lord.
At that point.
Yeah.
It's literally just a fucking shop on the high street, isn't it?
Also, Nakari has the proliferate cults one where you just pops 3 free cults in 3 random towns, and then you can really start drilling in your slutty corruption. That's really good.
Yeah, that is really good. Yeah.
But for Khorne, Sinch's one should play into his weird little books and whatever, like a lot more. If you establish a cult, I don't know, his tomes of
his grimoires.
It should be something with like if a city has a specific building in it, like say like a one that can recruit wizards or something. Then you could spend books to create a cult there because you're basically kind of, going undercover and going, oh, hello, nerds, read my neat book. And then they create a cult for you.
Khorne could have does it have one where you can like destroy the cult to make an army pop up or something?
Yeah, but he also, most importantly, have that he can just teleport Scarbrand himself there.
Oh, okay,
which is the best one because you just like make that one, it gets destroyed, but then like Scarbrand right outside. And I was so confused they didn't add that for Valkia, because that's literally Valkia's entire thing in the lore. Like, she's a Valkyrie. She just like swoops in at some point, just from nowhere. She's just summoned.
One thing that I would like to see changed is like the Skull Throne. Make that like more of a thing, because it's okay. You like put some skulls on it, give you some buffs, but wouldn't it be cool to like be able to build it up to different tiers, kind of like the fightiness mechanic, but like different, and give you some like serious stuff at the top.
I'm gonna
That would be
lore nerd
another
here and
way
just
of
be like,
him-
what do you think the Skull Throne is?
Just make it big. Make a big pile of skulls. I don't care.
I think him having some kind of because his economy is kind of rat fucked, and it's difficult. Everything's expensive. Whatever demon units. It'd be really cool if you got some like the more you kill, the more you destroy, the more skulls you claim, the more you're ranking up through this like Skull Throne system of upgrades or something. And then eventually you can use that to like recruit units instead of building up your economy to then be able to recruit them. Because it already kind of sucks you having to do that with Khorne, especially with Scarbrand, because his economy is just so bad and expensive, and it should like maybe you get massive growth benefits from just destroying everything and killing everybody and you know just something that where you benefit from having to fight so much because that's all you can do.
Imagine if they put in like the grudge counting system for how worthy a skull is, because the entire thing about like the Skull Throne is that you have to have worthy skulls for it. Like Khorne is also the god of martial prowess and honor in a small bit. Obviously, like they're all raving, murdering lunatics now, but like you have to have a worthy skull for the Skull Throne, and then you can have a value for like an army that's like wronged people, or like just fought a lot of people and like are worthy, and then you hunt him down, and you get like a cooler value for the Skull Throne.
Blue boost kill mechanic could work well for that, like in 3K as well, where you every time he just bops around killing like powerful characters, and every time you kill a powerful character, you get some kind of buff.
Oh yeah,
out of it,
your notebook.
just collecting them. So you could have that sort of system with Khorne as well. As you get a ton of skulls, you're killing major characters, which give you a ton of skulls. Like you go and seek out, I don't know, Tyrion. You killed like who's Scarbrand's like nemesis. You know,
everybody's Scarbrand's nemesis. Yeah.
All right, well, you know, for if you kill a fabled, famous, powerful character, you get more skulls for that. If it's generic lord, significantly less. If you go and burn down major locations, you get tons of skulls. That kind of thing. You know.
I wonder if you made Khorne like I hate this, but a horde faction. But stay with me. You gathered skulls. Obviously, you had this skull throne. Maybe you could spend skulls to like increase your skull level or whatever the fuck that would be. And then if you attacked a city, you could like generate skulls based on how big the city was. But maybe you could pour some more skulls in. You know, you've got like a big bag of skulls. You're like, right, empty the bag out, and then depending on like how many skulls you had, it like generated a number of units for you to recruit. So you could be like, hey boss, look how many skulls I've got. And he's like, all right, good job. Have, I don't know, a couple of bloodletters and a bloodthirster. Off you go. You go do some more.
That would be really easy to pull from the vampire accounts as well. Like with you get that like graveyard after a big battle, you can recruit a certain amount of units or whatever, and the point goes up for the size of the battle and the type of units that you're killing. So they could rip them. CA love doing that. So they rip the code out of that faction, slot it into the other one, and then slap on a red coat of paint, and bam, you got a new. You know, that'd be great because then you can ignore your economy a little bit, focus on building up skull buildings, whatever, and then get all your really good units from dangerous fights, which is so perfectly like Khorne, you know?
Imagine if you could have a building that you spend skulls on. It's just Skull Road, and whenever you built that anywhere, you would get like 60 or 70% more movement in that region, in your own region. So you could just like go from one place to the other very quickly as well. Yeah. Because like the Skull Road is a thing as well that they're building in some of the books, and it's interesting concept.
I thought of something
it's not used like that, but still.
I thought of something while we were going on. It's like you could have it, like Oko said, seeking out people. But what if it was like a trophy cabinet of like the mightiest skulls, and you collect them, and depend on like, oh, you collected all. Shut up, bitch! You collect all the high elf skulls, and then you get like a bonus for completing the set, and it's like a. I mean, they'll probably just make it like bonus versus tiles, which should be completely redundant at that point, but make it exciting.
That would be the ultimate CA move. Holy shit, you wipe out all the high elf like 3 lords and factions, and you get
congratulations, 40% weapon strength for Scarbrand when going against high elves. Woo!
No, like 5% weapon strength on bloodthirsters.
Way too generous.
So here's the thing as well. I think that they definitely should have just like the dwarven system where they can actually have value of how much somebody has been fighting, instead of like having specific characters, because specific characters should be for Wulfric whenever he gets a goddamn rework, which I'm sure is going to happen.
That's a good point.
This is not a fever dream.
Copium.
Are we sure about that?
Yeah, it's pretty copium, but like I think that like that should be completely just Wulfric. Wulfric should just teleport around, kill off cool dudes, and Khorne should just fight full fighters.
What would Throg's rework be if they did some kind of Norska thing though?
So
Or
okay,
trolls?
okay, I'm gonna go in a little bit into
Oh,
lore
no.
here. So I'm sure you guys know the lore, but like the people at home. So Throg is the most intelligent troll out there. He's one of the most like intelligent people out there. Like he will discuss like intelligent stuff with everyone. Like he's not just intelligent for a troll. Like in End Times when Gotrek is cornering him, he's not like giving him gold or like offering gold and stuff like that. He's offering him like cultural artifacts. Like he understands the value of things, like a book of grudges from a lost hold, and like maps to old holds that he can like try to reclaim, and like things to appeal to his honor, and like what is really worth his people. And what Throg can have is essentially that he will also go out and search for holds instead. He will take over those, and then he will get an underway from that place to the other and have a lot of underway systems instead. Since Wulfric will teleport. And if anyone says anything about teleportation, we have teleportation in the game. And lore-wise, Wulfric is the only one who actually teleports. Like, he has a teleporting fucking boat. It doesn't make sense that he doesn't have it.
He does have a teleport in the game. He just teleports it from one small side of the battlefield to the other.
Wulfric having more like raiding mechanics would be really good. Like huge bonuses to attacking from the sea that encourage you to like unify Norska and then sail down the coast, just wrecking the Empire of Macedonia.
That's sounding a lot like pre-rework Norska, I'm not going to lie.
He should definitely just have that.
Oh, that's true.
You had a dream now, go and fight Volkmar. Teleport over to Nekara. Go and fight him. Fight for your goddamn life over there. In 5 turns, you're coming back. And then, boom, you're coming back.
Even if he could just teleport from his location to any of the sea lanes, would be nice. Like, literally, he could just appear at any of the sea lane points. So you can just attack wherever you want and then teleport back.
So you know how the ships in 40k travel, right? So they go into the warp and then they can come out at other points. Basically, what Wulfric has is a safer version of this, where he will go into the Chaos Dimension with his blessed boat, and he can come out anywhere he wants to.
Which you could do via the Oxyotl mechanic.
Yeah, Oxyotl already does that. The Wood Elves can do that via the trees.
He's not really a wanderer then, is he? Like a sailor.
I mean, he is supposed to wander the world. That's like what he's cursed with.
It's called the World Walker, isn't it?
Yeah, he's the world walker. Like he
walks the world around that north bit.
He goes back and forth in Norska trying to defend this.
Anyway,
coastlines everywhere.
This is interesting Khorne rework discussion.
Yeah, but
I would love
not
to
just
see more mechanics like that. Like just being able to fight. I think like one of the main things with lack of replayability with certain factions is you're gonna have to fight the same factions over and over. Like it's like that's why every time a faction gets moved, even if they don't have new mechanics, like when they moved Gelt to the Empire or when they moved Gelt's been around a lot. Wasn't he in Lustria at one point? Like they put him in.
I don't think so.
I don't know. No, I think I moved him into Lustria. Never mind. Like my point is like that's what I mean though. Like changing a lot of my campaigns in early Warhammer 3 when Immortal Empires got added and stuff, I would just like take a lord and use the change.
To
I
put
them in a new location because it makes the campaign like so fresh. Like I moved Taurox into like the it's a Cathay. And it's like a Taurox and Cathay kind of campaign, which is really fun because you start discovering all these unique buildings that I don't normally run into. Like it's like a herd stone building and stuff. Really, really, really good. So being able to, if you could just play Wulfric and be like, I'm gonna go fuck up Cathay or whatever, teleport over there.
Just imagine you got like a random dude where it's just like, he's dreamt a dream, and this man with a mustache says he's better than you, and then you have to go to Cathay or something like that, and like next time you play it, it's gonna be somebody else.
You gotta kill Volkmar. You get a huge buff.
But that's kind of the cool thing about like the value as well for Khorne. If he would just have like, oh, these dudes are just good value because they've been fighting, that would also be like different every single time.
Yeah, knowing that if it did have that skull mechanic with recruiting units as well, you could kind of, because settlements are way less of a focus for him. It would be nice if you could get upkeep reduction and then your unit recruitment from doing these fights, because then you could just kind of go, right, you know what, fuck the Badlands, I'm going to the Empire, whatever, and you just beeline straight up and you just like beat call friends' backdoors in, get a big reward for killing him, get some like huge cool anti-Empire buff, and they just start trashing the Empire, recruiting a bunch of bloodthirsters and all these crazy units, or like say a little bit of Lustria, whatever. I love freedom of choice in these games,
Yeah.
I feel that's something you don't get very much.
No.
Yeah, like when you said that starting one of the best campaigns I ever had was when I moved Malekith to Drakenhof. I didn't change the climate, so it was shit climate, but like still fun just being over there.
Yeah. It's surprising how much of a difference it can make.
Yeah.
Also, I think they need to expand Ind and Koresh and fill them up with Cathay and Greenskins and stuff. Just like not even if they're never going to add in Ind and Koresh. If you look at the map, there's a huge landmass there that's just not being used. Even if it's full of like generic factions, and then you move a couple of campaign characters over there because the map's getting a bit cramped, and then that frees up locations for Kugath or whatever else.
I mean, not a lot of people remember where Bretonia, before they got moved in there, it was just like a bunch of Empire dudes. And that could actually be cool. Yeah,
the Southern Realms that right now are just Empire.
Yeah,
like
it's true.
Is anything else DLC related? I feel like we've talked about most things.
I think those reworks for Khorne would be so awesome if they had like a fighting meter and you had to go and fight cool dudes, just like whoever who had fought the most.
I think that's making your own campaign goals like that would be such a fun, because like I never follow the short campaign goals. I never follow the long campaign goals with most factions. I'm just trying to do something fun. Like I said, with the Scrag campaign, treating it like a diplomacy sim almost, and just like creating these giant mega alliances. Like doing your own thing with different factions and it not having to fall into just a map painting thing. Like I haven't done a Tyrion campaign since like early Warhammer 2, like 6 years ago, because he's like a campaign made out of snoring. He's the most boring campaign I can think of.
He's the most vanilla ice cream campaign.
I played that one in SFO.
Yeah.
And SFO, like he gets more glass candy, so he dies a little bit easier. But also they put in the what is called Heracles AI, whatever it is, and it just ups AI aggression so much. At turn 20, like it's just you, a L'Oreal, and like 2 more factions maybe left there, and the rest are dead.
Yeah. The AI aggression would be cool if they didn't just attack your undefended shit and avoid your main army.
I mean, it's good.
At the time, drives me nuts.
Right now, SFO is a bit harder than vanilla. The ones I've tried, at least. But like before, it used to be just a different kind of balance. Like sometimes a little bit harder, sometimes a little bit easier. But now, like with that AI overhaul in it, it's just it's been pretty bonkers. If anyone wants a challenge out there.
More campaign features in the vanilla would be great. There's so much stuff that they're missing, I feel like you get a little bit of control with the end times and like your difficulty settings or whatever. I think they should expand that. Any control over your sweeping campaign. Like for example, being able to start a campaign at a handicap to factions that keep dominating, like so that you can tweak it for yourself. Say the Ogre Kingdoms are getting trashed every time. You give them like a 20% positive handicap. You nerf the dwarves because they just keep dominating, or the Empire or Grimgor or whatever, and just giving you more control. And then also pulling in the modifiers from that, the Intel campaign modifier thing, like in Intel battle modifier, and you can like reduce.
Oh, I haven't even tried that one. Yes.
Yeah, see, I haven't either, because it's just like this gimmicky little like sandbox thing, and it's fun for like 5 minutes, and then you're kind of done with it. They should put that into the campaign modifier, so that you can reduce the gravity and increase unit mass or charge bonus to make cav better, and charge more powerful in general, and like reduce unit health and unit sizes, or increase unit sizes, and suddenly you've got all of these tools and options to customize your campaigns and have fun campaigns.
What I always wanted was like just a list of all the starting lords, and then you would just like have a roll list, and then you would just choose another lord there, or just randomize those. But some people might be like,
the random start mod, can't you?
Yeah, but sometimes you might just be like, oh, I hate playing against wood elves, so I'm just going to remove only the wood elves, for example, or maybe make them weaker and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's SFO has that. Like that's where I got the idea for the handicapping thing, because you can make, like, I did a campaign and I made the Order Kingdoms like way stronger, Beastmen way stronger because they always get trashed, and then like all of the the Order Tide factions weaker, Grimgore way weaker, shit like that. Just to see how it would change, you know. And it is different. It's nice, like, because just seeing factions that get trashed. Like, when have you ever seen Beastmen get above strength rank 100?
That
like it just doesn't happen. They're trash. They're so bad. It's so sad. Yeah.
I mean, like end time crisis and stuff like that as well. You just really need to get better. Like Stellaris does it so well, where you have like this entire mini game around it as well, where everybody tries to unite against it, and it's like a thing that happens. It's a happening in the game, right? But in Warhammer, it's really just like more armies from one place. Even if you kill them before, they're just gonna pop back in.
Exactly, dude. That annoyed the crap out of me. I did an 8-player. I tried to do an 8-player with like the if you know about the VPN thing with for campaigns, right? Where you local host a VPN campaign and it sort of circumvents the terrible connection issues with multiplayer campaigns. It makes them playable. Yeah, it's really, really good. Like I did an 8-player campaign and for about, it was like 20 turns, whatever. And it started to go off the rails and certain people had to leave and whatever. But like it got to the end times event where it was like a turn 10 to 20 end times event at 200% difficulty. It was like a last man standing kind of thing with 8 people. It was just ridiculous. But I was playing as Malachi. I killed Throt and took over, Skaven help it. And then the end times thing kicked in and like it just spawned a bunch of the armies, like revived him and spawned all his armies outside of the city. It's like I don't think factions that are dead should come back in the end times because it's in the middle of your territory. And it's like Realms of Chaos with the stupid portals in your territory and stuff. It's just not fun. It's so annoying. It's not fun.
It's also super unimmersive because people don't think about like immersion, like in a fantasy game, like how can you be immersed? But it's like Sea of Thieves is a good example. Usually, like you can be shot through the waves and you can shoot yourself from a cannon because it works in game. But even like the end time crisis stuff is just so unorganic and it's just so unimmersive as well.
Yeah, I mean, my main problem with it is the fact that it is an anti-player mechanic, effectively. Because I still remember playing as Durthu. I had the crisis on, and it was the Black Pyramid crisis. And the faction that owned the Black Pyramid died really early on, so they had not been at war with anyone. Whoever they had been at war with was dead already. They spawned. They're only at war with me. So what you get is this train of skeletons marching from the Black Pyramid all the way to Athel Loren. No one is doing anything about this. No, everyone's just like, well, I'm not dealing with that. I'm turning a blind eye. I'm just gonna. And then all that, I just went, oh fuck this. This is bullshit.
Dude, I think the Black Pyramid is a standout one, but the fact that there's so much player bias in Warhammer 3, it drives me insane. Like, it doesn't feel like they're trying to make an organic world. It's just placeholder AI to get killed by the player, and then it spawns shit to kill the player. Like, there's nothing else. It doesn't feel like an organic world at all.
It was so funny that when I was playing Solastra and I just had like a random crisis on, and I got the Wood Elf campaign, like a crisis on, and I had put on like, oh, you can have diplomacy on. Because I was like, oh, maybe I can like befriend them or something. But here's what happens. Wood Elves happens. The sisters revived. No, they didn't revive. The sisters just came back at full strength because they were kind of like being pushed back quite a lot by other factions. And then they just brought in their allies, which were all the High Elves, into the war with me. And it was just basically me that they were going to war with. I was like, all right, then, I guess.
I really think they should program it so when the end times happen, they declare war on all the relevant factions by default instead of just the player. I think that would fix a lot of it. Like, the end times event, especially if you do like the really crazy with the end times crisis, whatever the one, like the
ultimate one.
Ultimate, where it just spawns all the factions. Like certain factions declaring war on you makes no sense. Say if you're playing the Greenskins and the Greenskins one happens, they should just be neutral with you, or if not allied. Like maybe not allied. That'd be crazy OP, but you know what I mean. I think if it's a relevant faction and it makes sense, they should work with you potentially. Because then you join in the end times. You know what I mean? Maybe that's a little low for you, but I think it makes more sense than Grimgore declaring war on you with Skarsnik.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. The first time I did I had been streaming for like 26 hours straight and been doing like Archaon. And I had been feeding like the Greenskins a lot of settlements. Combined, they had like 70 settlements, something like that. And I was trying to take over the entire world before I could go to sleep.
Yeah.
And then then it was only the Greenskin crisis that happened. And they always like went from being like my best vassals to just being, like against me, and it was just such a bummer, really. Like I know it would have been OP, like you said, but like dang, it would have been pretty fun.
Speaking of Stellaris, wouldn't it be nice to have an option to become the Crisis? And like everyone, I mean, I know everyone always unites against you anyway, but it'd be nice if it had a lore reason.
Effectively, aren't you the Crisis anyway?
Well, yeah. It happens anyway, but it'd be nice if it was like,
it would.
The Empire's come out of control. All the Skaven have joined together to form the Mega Hive, and they've come to stop you.
The Neo Mega Skaven. It's just like one giant, massive Skaven made out of a Skaven.
What I would really, really want is to have the play around the crisis that you have in Stellaris, because Stellaris you have like the community, everybody starts voting on like declaring something a crisis, everybody starts like banding together extra hard, like wars are stopping. Somebody's like, oh, this dude is the custodian, now he gets to use our fleets, blah blah. Obviously can't have that in Warhammer, but at least you should have like a crisis council maybe, or people would just stop the wars because they see that the crisis is happening.
The problem is the crises in Warhammer are lazy.
Yeah.
And this is true of many of Creative Assembly's decisions, but they're very lazy. They were lumped in there. Realistically, what you should have is, if you've got the Everchosen, for example, what that should do is there should be events that pull together all the Chaos factions, so they're joined together. There should be, options there. So if you're playing as a Chaos faction, how are you going to react to this? Are you going to fight Archaon? In which case, well, I guess you're going to have to fight Archaon. Do you become the Everchosen? That should be an option. If you're playing the other sides, you should be like, okay, the High Elves and the humans obviously going to join together. They're going to try and help Kislev defend. There should be events if Prague falls. What happens then? Instead, it's just like, okay, a bunch of armies spawn. Enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wasn't there a thing in Warhammer 1 for Wars of Chaos when the End Times thing happened and all these Chaos armies spawned? You had an option to work with them?
It was a trait they had, which was called the Shield of Civilization, which only the Order factions had.
Yeah.
In Warhammer 1 and 2.
But as Chaos, you could choose to fight the End Times event and turn on
if you were playing as Archaon.
Yeah. Or Norska.
Was it Norska?
Norska, that was it. That was it. No, yeah, you're right. That was it. It was Norska.
Although if you were playing as Archaon, then is it Sathoriel spawned and you had to kill him?
Yeah, but if you were playing as Norska, then you would have to fight the Crisis one, and you could become against Chaos and break free from that.
Yes. But it gave you the option to work with them, which I like. If that, I wish it was more just give it the players a pop-up, if say you're playing Ikit, a lot of people do because he's great, and you get to the End Times event, and it's turn 100 whatever, you own most of the Empire and whatever, and then it's the Skaven End Times event, right? And Eshin and all these other factions, whichever ones are still alive, become this big End Times event, or maybe they keep that whole spawning thing, and then you're given the option to fight against them or join them, and you suddenly have these very powerful allies, and it's kind of like the rise of the Skaven, just giving you that option to choose whether or not to join them. At the very least, instead of them all automatically declaring on you and just becoming, and only the player, not everybody around them, just the player.
The problem is, as you said, it's not an organic world. It's basically the player versus everyone else. It's just a few more steps, and that's the problem. When you play Stellaris, the Crisis is the driver of other events. In Warhammer, the Crisis is just to fuck the player over, which is why I've had them turned off for.
I mean, Stellaris is just so good at immersing you in it. It's oh, why do people go to war with me? And then somebody will say, because you didn't have enough fleets, you looked weak sauce.
Yeah.
That's why they attacked you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those things I wish Warhammer did better, because it is. I love that game. I do. I wouldn't play it as much if I didn't. I just want it to be better. I want it to be what it can definitely be. And I think my main problem at the moment is the fact that the AI is anti-player bias. It's only going to attack your minor settlements. It avoids your armies. the game sort of railroads you into going in one direction often because, you know, one guy declares war on you, and then as soon as you've dealt with them, because the only way you can deal with them is by killing them entirely. There's no way of like piecing out with them realistically, because if you piece out with them, they'll just declare war on you in 10 turns. So you may as well just go and wipe them out.
Warhammer 3 with Immortal Empires has, I think, the potential to be one of the best strategy games of all time. Like, in terms of, it's got so much unit variations, so much like attention to detail and all these units, and like that's the main good thing about the game, I think, is like how good the units are, the differences between the factions, like they all have strengths and weaknesses, and there's so much depth and variation. But then the fundamental stuff in the game, like the AI, bad sieges, bad battle maps, and stuff like that, are just holding it back so much. Like if they just did a big AI patch, removed ass letters, added in a bunch of new campaign maps, the amount of change that would make just based off that. Like I don't even make it to the end times half the time. I mean, because I get burnt out with all the other stuff, the bad AI and like the, you know, the things I don't like.
Speaking of maps, like it's just so many maps that aren't implemented yet, and like so many things that just doesn't work. Like if you go into woods, for example, in ambush dance, you're supposed to get like a higher ambush chance because you're in the woods, but half of those aren't even coded. Like half of the woods don't work like this. And then you don't even get like the right battle maps. Like choke points are so rare in Warhammer 3 because they haven't put those into like the specific regions, I think.
Also, do you remember a little thing called minor settlement battles? Remember those things? Remember that distant memory? What happened to that?
There's just so many more different. It was just so many more maps in Warhammer 2 as well. But I see that we have arrived at the station of our normal gripes with Warhammer. And therefore, we shall move on to the next thing, because we can't go, like, we can't keep talking about this every single time.
I know this is the old Grumblers, dude.
Every single time. God damn it. So, if you guys could just add one thing to the next DLC, like anything at all, like one thing for the DLC, and don't say like the goddamn siege ladders. Like, there's one thing for one of these factions, for a rework, a unit, or anything like that. Like, what would you add in?
Or ogres. Please.
Specifics.
Camps. Mobile camps.
Mobile camps.
Like I said, it's such a small change. It's such a small change, but it would make the faction good, in my opinion.
I'm gonna
freedom, the like everything, you know.
I'm gonna stick with ogres and say infinite big names, just as many as you want. Or like at least more than one.
Monsters?
Or the ability to reroll ones you don't like as well.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Because like
it's like a nickname. You just can't change it once everybody starts calling you that.
Or maybe just making it a natural thing would be really good as well. Like you do specific things a lot and you get that trait.
Yeah, so literally how traits work. Just give them a name as well.
Yeah. But, you know, I don't know, something like that. Or like it's just a blank sheet, and then as you do things, it gives you get a nickname, you know, a unique nickname, or you get a random nickname or something, you know.
It is weird that the Chaos Warriors get a better big name system than the ogres.
It's gonna be Monkey Paw again. You're gonna get like the goddamn Wheel of Fortune Dark Elf one. It's just like 6 of them is just leadership aura.
Yeah.
I really would. Yeah. I really would like to see the mercenary contract system better, because I don't understand where they go like. Here's 3,000 money if you march for 10 turns in the opposite direction.
And sometimes they give you stuff that you can't complete in that amount of time. It's like, here, do this in 10 turns or 20 turns or whatever. Actually, I think the contract length is infinite. Or so long that I didn't even notice, but it gives you stuff that you feasibly just can't do without completely abandoning your territory. Also, if the camps were mobile, you could probably fucking do that, because you could pick everything up and go do your contracts.
No, because camps are really easy to defend. They've built for ogres, a large monstrous infantry faction. They have built some really narrow, constricted streets to make it easy to defend for them. That's why camps can't move, because they're so easy to defend.
Fred?
Yeah, that works.
Personally, I would really, really add in the dude who has been fighting the most for the most value skulls. Not the most skulls, but the most value skulls, because Khorne only wants worthy skulls at his skull throne. He doesn't give a shit about shitty skulls.
I think the ogres clearly can benefit the most from this patch, though. I think Khorne, despite having such few mechanics,
that's a low bar though.
Like, it sort of works.
I mean, ogres are where Norse have been for so long, where it's like you ask a group of like, or a chat of like hundreds of people, like, oh, what could we do to improve this? And everybody will have a suggestion, and everybody will be correct because it's in such a shitty state. Right. But okay, so which DLC unit would you like to see then?
I don't know.
If you could only name one.
I don't know units. I'm not a lore person.
We just talked about them. We just
the big squig, the big squig, the big one.
I'm with you on that. I think more squigs are good.
Squig
Bigger
faction.
Squigs also good.
A squig in every faction.
I personally hope to see more orcs than goblins because as much as I love goblins, we got quite enough of them. I think maybe a couple more squigs though. Colossal squig. I think Thunder Tusk for me.
Thunder Tusk is really good. Yeah, that's a really good one.
I'm a sucker for Thunder Tusks. They're so cool looking.
Yeah, I would either have the Warmongers with the chains, but really like Black Orcs with shields. That would be a game changer for that entire faction. I think I would just love that.
Such a basic thing as well. Literally just like, just want a sword and board infantry unit, please.
I just want somebody to stand there in the front and smash it. Like, just do it at his own pace. I don't care.
I mean, that's basically what the Empire need. They didn't get it.
Yeah.
Also, a Black Orc customizer for Grimgor could be cool. Just considering there's only one variant of them right now, and instead of them adding in the generic shield variant and dual weapon variant, you could have like a customizer for them or something.
I mean, those things are
like
always.
A Barbie dream house.
That's so I know that's ambitious. I'm just saying. I know they're not going to do it.
Here's the really easy way to do that. Everybody always wants like every mechanic for every single faction, right? But the warband mechanic works really well for a lot of stuff. For example, there's no reason why Source Warriors can't become Source Warriors with shields. I don't know why I have to like fire them and put them out in the jungle or wherever they go.
You
It's
can't
crazy.
learn to use shields. It's
just-
something you either know it or you don't. That's it.
Completely
Almost
insane.
all factions in the game can benefit from that. It's such a good point as well. Even ogres, like ogres, upgrade them to dual weapons or iron fists. And
It doesn't even need to be like.
Yeah.
It doesn't even need to be like upgrades. It's just like
just variants.
switch gears.
Just variants, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so
such a
like,
good
Can you imagine how many lore people would lose their mind if you could like recruit a peasant mob as Bretonia and eventually level them up to like a Grail?
obviously they're not like that. It's like the peasant, maybe he learns to get a shield, which is like a wooden board or something. Maybe.
I think across, not up. You know, like the warbands can go up to new units because of their recruitment rank. I think it shouldn't matter about rank; just costs money, and you can go across if you've got them a building that can make them in the same process.
It makes sense for Warriors of Chaos to become almost anything because they don't have like a training place for stuff. You just like prove yourself, and then you become something, and then you just move up the ranks. But like the other ones, maybe small warband changes, like switch the gears to like have a shield as well. Plague Monk might be sensor bearer, but like it's not like big drastic changes.
No, that's even just the Empire. Like you can recruit spearmen if you have a military building to like get the ones with shields, and you already have a much in your army. Just you hit one button and now they have shields. Like gonna cost
or the Reichsguard become Demigryph riders.
But that's
no, because look, the Demigryph riders, you can't breed Demigryphs in zoos and stuff like that. Like lore-wise, they just like kill everything around it. Like it's impossible to breed them. So what happens is that a Reichsguard knights will just become, I don't know, tired of life or something like that. So they have to go out in the Drakvald, which is the largest forest in the old world, which is full of monster shit. They have to find the Demigryph, and then you just like kind of go like, your name will be Timmy, and you're coming on with me, basically. And then some of them come back. Some of them come back mostly intact, and then they become Demigryph riders.
They like jump on it, becomes a rodeo mini game, and then
yeah, exactly. They sit there like
mini games.
Down,
Oh hell yeah!
Left, right, up, down.
Let's turn this into Final Fantasy VII remake.
Quick time events, please, CA.
Yeah, or the warband mechanic for that you know, like, but yeah, small changes to what could make sense for the rest.
I think my dog's gonna shit on the floor if we don't wrap this one up quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We got anything else to add? Do we go into the last bits of what everyone's been playing? Maybe.
Yes, let's do that.
What have you been playing, Monsters?
Oh, well, seeing as Next Fest has been on, I'm going to keep it
Oh,
brief.
dang. You said we wrap it up. You have to do the highlights.
I've only played
highlights.
two things. I've played Heart of the Machine, which is actually a really neat, it's a hooded horse game. It's a really neat sort of, kind of like a weird turn-based Syndicate Wars.
I didn't understand that. When I played it for like 40
work
minutes,
out.
I was like, what is this? What's happening?
It's unhinged. And I'm going to be honest, I reached a point where I was like, I have no idea what the fuck I'm supposed to be doing. There were objectives, but I had no idea how to accomplish those objectives.
No, I was like,
What are you gonna tell me?
after escaping the police and like talking to gang members with my shitty Android and having like kidnapped toasters or something. Like I was just talking to people outside of like apartments, like, so do you have any room for me to stay? And they're like, no, what are you doing?
So that's the role. You're supposed to build people a block of flats. You're basically you become a sentient AI, and you discover socialism, and then you subject people to it, which actually works out really nicely because it's dystopia, and you eventually have to go and find them toilet paper and stuff. It's fine. Anyway, so I played that. That was pretty good. I also played Zephon, which is by the Gladius people, Gladius 40,000. And it's basically the same game, but instead of Warhammer 40,000, it's Cthulhu meets Skynet, which was pretty nice if you like tentacles and Terminators. So
I've never heard someone say Warhammer 40,000 instead of 40K. It's the most well-spoken British thing I've ever heard.
Look who he's talking to.
you're welcome.
That's like the second time today he's been called as from someone in this Discord.
What were you doing 10 minutes before we started?
I was down the beach having some lovely chips. That's what I was doing. So yeah, that's what I've been playing. It was pretty good.
Nice. Shall I go? I've been playing all sorts of things actually. I've finished like 2 games semi-recently, some VR games, but I've been playing through Cult of the Lamb, which I like have owned for a long time, but I've just like come around to playing. It's very fun. I much more enjoy the city building.
Cool.
Like I find the combat a little bit repetitive, but I do enjoy a good city builder and sacrificing my cute little friends to demons for rewards and profit. It's always fun. I've been like trying to organize my backlog and it's a real mess. I've also been playing Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, which is just a mess. But wow,
what
the
clan
vibes
are you playing
are
as in that
immaculate.
one?
I can't remember. I think it begins with M.
M. It's the Malkavians,
Maybe.
the crazy ones.
I can't entirely remember.
Does your TV talk to you?
No.
You have to stop and talk to the stop signs.
Oh, maybe not them then.
So it's just great because the Malkavians are insane and they will do insane stuff. So like the news reporter, like if you turn on TV and news are on and the TV news presenter will just go like, hey you, and you just like start talking to you. And then you go out on the streets and then just the stop sign will just go like, hey, stop. It's like,
I don't think
and then it's just like a completely different thing. It's just a completely, you just play that playthrough differently. It's great.
I don't think it was those ones thinking about it. I can't remember which one it is.
Do you play anything off stream, Coin?
Yeah. So I just completed Ghost of Tsushima, the director's cut.
Oh, it's so good. It's like one of the best games this decade.
So I like the combat. I played on the hardest difficulty too, the lethal difficulty, where you do more damage, but you can get killed in a single sword blow, which is
it's so satisfying.
It's got that Batman floaty enemies thing that drives me insane. Though, like some guy will just yell, float over 30 feet and hit you, and you can't block or dodge or avoid it. So I've had a couple of throw your controller across the room almost kind of moments. But the world in that game is beautiful. Literally it tied with Elden Ring for me, or just a little bit below Elden Ring for the best visual universe I've ever played in a game. It is gorgeous to look at, especially with an EMB. That Elden Ring preparing for the DLC.
What kind of character are you doing in Elden Ring?
Oh, strength build, of course. Oh, just full bonking it, straight bonking it.
Yeah, same. I did like strength, endurance. What was the last one for stamina or health? Those are like the only things I do, where like be able to build stuff. And then one sword, it jumps.
You need two stats. You need Unga and Bunga. That's the only. You need strength and health, and maybe a little bit of endurance.
That's my build as well.
Armor. Yeah, that's the best build. That's the Chad build. But Yeah, DLC's in 2 days for us. So pretty close. That and Kenshi. I've been playing a lot of Kenshi.
Oh, Kenshi, nice. Have you been dying hopelessly trying to learn it, or are you good at it already?
No, I have hundreds of hours in it. I actually have been playing Kenshi so long. I played it when it was a ModDB free demo in like 2009.
Nice.
Jesus.
Oh, yeah,
So I'm a old dog for that game, so I'm very sweaty at it when I want to be.
I try to learn that game while playing it on stream, and that is stressful and bad. I do not recommend that.
Don't recommend.
Anyone.
Nope.
It's a phenomenal game, though.
Yeah, it's
I can read
really
the
cool,
reviews.
but
It is like
Yeah, it's
nothing
so
else you will
unique.
ever play. It's insane.
I
Yeah,
love games that have an actual cohesive sandbox of freedom. It's one of the least patronizing games I've ever played.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
There's no painfully hand-holdy tutorial where they take your little hand and they go like press X to attack and whatever. They just put you in a role and say, there you go.
Good luck.
That's
Yeah,
it. And it's
like I said,
yeah, it's amazing.
Really cool game, but like, dang, learning that in front of people, that is awful.
Dude. Yeah.
Because you're like, why is this happening? Where are they taking me? Why did they take my legs? And everybody's in chat just
Yeah.
like, lol, kick W.
He doesn't know. He doesn't know. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What about you, Fred? You been playing anything?
I've only been playing V Rising in the evenings. It's been very nice. Just playing like brutal and just trying to get through the bosses, and it's just a nice chillax game.
I love V Rising. It's such a satisfying game.
They have such a good box system, I think, because like the storage is just so good. Because I'm a hoarder in all these games. It's like just boxes. Just go around, be a vampire. It's good.
I can't play any survival games since playing this one that came out called Enshrouded, which is
Enshrouded. Yeah, that's a good one.
really, really good game. And I went back and played Valheim within a community server recently, and all I did was just bitch incessantly about how much better Enshrouded was for the whole experience. Like, I put like 30 hours in it. I was just like, this is better than Enshrouded. Why is there no stamina uptick on food items? Like, this all sucks. Why do I have to eat? The food decay starts immediately after eating. I want to kill myself. Like, it's so annoying. Like how when a game comes along and makes other games feel so much worse, it's like, what? Like, this is so much better. You know what I mean? So now going back and playing V Rising, I'm like, why this could be more like the Enshrouded thing? Like, why is the building so simplistic and cute, whatever? Like, so I just get annoyed by when a game comes along and does something better, and I'm like, man, this could have been so much better, and I just get really resentful. V Rising is still really fun though.
I'm waiting for the new DLC for V Rising. All of them are just cosmetic.
No, I mean like the new expansion, like the new free expansion. Like they added a new zone, and I assume.
Oh yeah, that's for the
stuff like
1.0 update. So it's just released basically. So they put in like Dracula and like the new zone and stuff like that.
Dracula?
Yeah, it's pretty good. Like I only played it like when it first got out in early access, and got like to the last bosses, and those were just impossible to do solo. And I was just playing solo because I just want to like relax and not talk to anybody in the evenings, just listen to something maybe. And
some bosses are the scaling with enemies and bosses and stuff is a little bit like Valheim, where the more people you have, it gets more difficult sometimes because the bosses just becomes a sponge. Like in V Rising, it's really annoying. Some bosses, like I would struggle with my friends for hours. We'd just try to like replay it and go get like the best blood in the game and just kind of hammer away at bosses, and then you do it once offline when no one's around and you just beat it first time easily. And then sometimes it's vice versa. It's really weird. Like I found some of the bosses so hard in that game.
Yeah, it really is. And then some of them are just bullshit. Like one of the early ones just slow you down and have a damage or a time tick on you all the time as well. And it's just like bullshit. But then, something weird will happen. You manage to shoot somebody and then bam, little skeleton man was actually like a hidden vampire that just comes at him instead. And it's just like, oh, well, that kind of works.
Yeah.
And then he kills everyone. Perfect.
There's one lightning guy in the DLC. I keep saying DLC. And like the second to newest biome now with this new one, where it's like it's like lightning-y and steampunk based, whatever. And it's like everywhere. And one of the guys in there, I don't know if you've got to him yet.
I think I am on that one right now.
He shoots like it's like a scientist in a laboratory, and he has like lightning things, like a grid of lightning that spreads out. And like that was one of those smash your head into the keyboard kind of bosses. Like that was so annoying. Like
it's just some nights I'm just gonna like I'll just die to something for like the entirety of like the time I have to myself, and then some nights I'll just like down 3 or 4 bosses because you just get on a roll. And you get through like the really hard ones as well, I guess.
Sounds like playing Elden Ring.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
definitely. Nice. Gonna thank you for your time, O'Connor.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, dude.
So long.
Thank you, Okoi.
Thank you for sticking here with us for this amount of time. This is going to be edited down pretty heavily, but we have been here for roughly 4 hours. So
what
I
you
think
think.
we're all gonna
It's going to be a
4
15-minute
hours?
podcast.
so we're just gonna all probably go and eat and wake up in 2 hours again because it's very late as well. Maybe.
You're not eating more pizza, are you?
Oh, I'm absolutely going to eat it at 9:30 and give myself an awful tummy ache going to bed.
Why can't he eat that? He's an adult. He's not like a
It makes him
mogwai from
feel ill,
Gremlins.
that's why.
No, he's not a gremlin. He can eat after midnight.
I don't know, he does kind of look a little bit gremlin-y.
Yeah, true.
Thanks.
If you get him wet, God knows.
Anyway,
The line
thanks
was
for
just there,
listening.
you just like.
Yeah, we'll reconvene at some point when we have more DLC information.
Yeah. Thank you for us. That's it for us. And good night, everybody.
No.
Say good night as well.
Shall see.
Goodbye and see you
Good
next
night.
time. Bye bye.